Three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Had to shut down the live a little bit sooner than we typically do, so I wanted to continue it because thought some of the answers were unique, but certainly from a devil's advocate standpoint, I wanted to come back on and talk to the folks and ask that simple question: what would be wrong with putting Trump back in the White House? We've talked about the economy. We've talked about the lack of global conflicts. We've talked about being able to afford goods and services, fuel for your car. Things were financially better if you ask a hell of a lot of folks under the Trump administration. So just continuing on what we were discussing earlier, why not President Trump? What would be wrong with re-electing 45 as 47? Now, looking in the comments, what you got on your 40? I don't know what are you talking about, like OE? A 40 of OE? What do you mean what you got on your 40? Nothing wrong. We need a real American. There you go. Remember Hulk Hogan comes out to the song, I Am a Real American? President Trump back in the White House. What would be so wrong with that? Do you favor Biden? Do you think Biden is doing a good job? We're at a proxy war with Russia on behalf of the Ukraine. We're dealing with Israel in regards to their very unpopular continuation of war in Gaza. Under Trump, we didn't have all of this. Under Trump, many would suggest the economy was better. What would be wrong with putting Trump back in the White House, continuing his devil's advocate live stream that we had to suspend earlier? So I am back on. Tap the screen, get your boy on up to around 1,000 likes to start, or better yet, 10,000 to start the program off. Looking in the comments real quick, everything, putting Trump back in, everything would be better. I believe that says 1, 2, 3 Pudge. Going to the box right off the bat, we're asking what would be wrong with putting Trump back in the White House after 4 years of Biden, whereas many folks favor the whole country is going to hell in a handbasket. Going straight to Drew, if the app gives me a minute here. Sometimes we have a bit of trouble with the TikTok app, so we'll go ahead and make it happen once he comes up. Looking in the comment section briefly here, and I don't know, already the app is having problems here. Give me a second to figure that out. On the YouTube side, though, L. Joe Biden. What do you mean by L? Biden is a loser? Are you suggesting that President Biden is somehow a loser after the Trump economy, comparing it to Biden? A lot of folks favor the Trump economy. Are you there?
I think I'm here now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. The only thing I can see, the only problem I can see with Trump getting back in the White House, and I'm a supporter, is that the Democrats will refuse to work with him in any which way. Any way. The only thing they're going to try to do is get him, like they've been trying to do for the last 7 years.
Well, that does work both ways. I mean, you don't believe that the current batch of Republicans are trying to work with Biden, do you?
No. Yeah, but it's not on the same level. It's not on the same. They've been able to pass some legislation bipartisan. I don't think they'll give Trump a win for anything.
Wow. So you believe it is pure division, just simply trying to cockblock the man?
Well, let's look at 45. Let's look at what happened. I mean, all they tried to do the entire time was try to impeach him.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is?
Through executive order.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there was so much hatred toward the man?
Because he's an outsider and he isn't following the status quo. And the things that he pushes forward didn't help the big business and the military-industrial complex. His agenda wasn't the agenda of whoever the right or left in. They usually follow the same agenda, just with a different twist.
But he did give essentially a permanent tax cut. How could that not have helped big business? You're saying he wasn't there helping big business. Wouldn't that have helped them?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen. There's certain things he's got to do as a president to pander to his base.
Oh.
You know, and his base are the rich. You know, I mean, at least part of it, and part of his base is also the religious right. That's why he's selling that that Bible, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. How do you feel about his stance on abortion and what he's putting in there for that?
Yeah, look, I'm pro-choice, so I'm not for that. But I mean, I think anybody, and I think talking to you, I think this holds true. You really shouldn't have all the same. You shouldn't be like so divided that whatever a right policy is or whatever their stance is, that you're going to believe in it just because it's a right policy. I mean, there's a lot of policies that I like from the left. There's a lot of policies that I like from the right. I don't really try. I think it's almost like brainwashed if you just strictly believe in all Democratic policies or strictly believe in all right-wing policies. It just seems like disingenuous to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. So at the end of the day, though, you do believe President Trump is the man to get this country back on track?
Yeah, either that or just show more. It's a lot of what I liked about Trump was it's almost like you saw the wizard behind the curtain, because everybody was out to get him so much, where it's almost like they became overtly obvious in the way that things run. And I think people are starting to see, like, fake news was his. He coined fake news, and now it's in the ether. Everybody knows you really can't trust the news all that much.
I don't know, but when you look at President Trump, do you feel that the news coming from Trump is a little bit more truthful and honest?
No, that's the funny part. No, but
So wait a minute, he coined fake news, but he's also giving fake news.
Yeah, but he's all yes,
Okay.
which is I understand.
That sounds like that should be a problem.
It's like an oxymoron.
Yeah,
but then they act like all previous administrations haven't lied. Every one of them. When's the last person that actually made all their campaign promises?
Yeah, but here's something I often do bring up, because you're correct. All politicians have lied, and like you say, all administrations of the past have had some dishonesty in them. But wasn't the purpose of Trump to not be a typical politician, not come along and do the same things they were doing?
Yeah, but no, it was almost to the point where, look, after the Access Hollywood thing came out, he was supposed to be finished. That was supposed to be. Trump was done right there and then, and he wasn't, because he fought back. Yeah. And it's like I've said this before on your live. It's like his mouth is like a double-edged sword. It keeps him alive because he doesn't stop fighting, but he also just spews out a lot of shit that hurts him as well.
I don't disagree with that. All right, I do got to move it on. Well said, Drew. Appreciate you coming through.
Nice seeing you again.
Absolute, same. So looking in the comments before we move it on, we're asking what would be wrong with promoting 45 to 47, re-electing President Trump, getting the economy back to the way it was run under the Trump administration. Most folks believe that would be a better scenario for this current environment we're in, whereas price of groceries or going out to buy a home, car, or even putting gas in your vehicle, a lot of these things have become unaffordable to many. If you get President Trump back, many folks believe you'd get his economy back as well. Not to mention, as we keep bringing up, there were nowhere near as many military conflicts ballooning to their level that they are now under President Trump. So why not put Trump back in the White House? Or better yet, what would be wrong with a second Trump's term? Perhaps America may be in a better situation than it is now. What say you? Tap the screen, trying to get the likes on up there. Certainly the program will remain MAGA friendly. Understand we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Regardless of what side of the aisle you may be on, we go left of Bernie Sanders from having dinner with QAnon. We allow folks to speak. You don't have to agree with anyone in the comment section or even the host. It's all about free speech here. That's how the program has always been ran, how it always will be ran. Going to Big Rex, asking that question, what would be wrong with Trump Part 2? Good evening, Big Rex.
Good evening, sir.
Hey.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. President Trump Part 2, what say you?
Man, when I first saw Trump running, I liked what he talked about.
Okay.
I really did. I'm at. But man, as soon as he started talking about, leaning towards being prejudiced, all the prejudiced people in this country jumped on him. They went right behind him.
What did Trump? Wait. You said as soon as he started leaning towards being prejudiced. What did Trump do to suggest he was prejudiced?
Any brown country, all shithole countries. I mean, you take your pick, whatever you want to say. His terms for people let you know how he thinks, man. Never been able to get past that. Because I know most of these guys are prejudiced anyway. I understand. I don't say racist because...
What's the difference?
The country ain't... Racist means you just don't like anybody of that color but your own color. Racist. That's racist. Prejudice, I might not like something about you because you're black. Or bigoted. I don't like what you do. Prejudice and bigoted fits more than racist. The racist is a strong-ass word, man.
Okay.
It really is.
But you said most of them, you believe that most Trump supporters are bigoted?
Yes, sir.
A lot of them are black, though, Big Rex. How do you explain so many black men voting for Trump?
I understand the black point of view because the man, he ain't a politician, but he's a scary person. Because you dumb shit, not worrying about the repercussions. If he gets angry, his ego gets tapped with another country, he has the power as president to fuck up somebody's economy, their whole way of living, instantly. And he's always got the threat of the military behind him, and those people know that. That's why they didn't matter. They're scared of him.
Yeah, but how do you respond to folks who suggest that President Trump did more for black people than Biden and even Obama?
I don't know where in the world these people get that notion from. Every president, panders term, but they go for the black vote because it's a lot of black people, especially in certain areas,
Right.
And that also helps the guilty people. Well, yeah, he's looking out for black people, so we'll vote for him. No, motherfucker, he's a criminal. Period.
Wait a minute. Trump is not. Wait, hold on. He hasn't been convicted of a crime. Isn't the man? What happened to guilty until proven innocent? You're calling him a criminal.
Man, he's working the system. That's all that is. The law in his favor because he pays people to find out what he can get away with. And he gets away with it. And they're afraid to prosecute him because that man knows everybody. He's one of them kind of people that hold stuff over your head. So they're not going to prosecute him.
Well,
if
he's holding, as you say, holding stuff over people's head, then perhaps Trump is the one. Maybe he's the one that could expose all of these folks. Maybe we need him.
Nah, that ain't what they want to do, man, because we already know. Look, I'll give you an example, and I may not be perfect in it, but 515 felonies. Do you think that's felony charges? Do you think that's more baseball, or I'm just asking you, do you think more football players or basketball players have 514 felonies?
Well, there's more in the football community.
Okay. Well, this is Congress that has that many felonies on them. They're people.
Wow.
These people are criminals, and they overlook all of that. I just saw that about 2 weeks ago, and it shocked me. Because how can we all know all this and just tension? Hell with it, let them ride, because we're going to get a lower gas. Boy, and he don't control no gas prices, but he scares people into think if we don't do this, he's going to do this, and they know he'll do it.
So do you see President Biden is doing a good job?
Oh my God, man, I'm gonna tell you, It's rough. It's rough, man. My only problem with him, he's too old now. If he'd have done this ago, his faculties were a lot better. He's not demented and all this, what they say, but he's got problems, man. Trump got problems too. They're old people. Old people. I'm 65. I feel old. Shit, they're in their 80s. Why we want somebody like that?
Yeah, but I mean, Trump is not stumbling his words or falling down in public. Maybe Trump is the guy.
Man, because he can't stay on topic. He'll start on something and go straight to that. 4 years of his presidency. That's all he did. Rallies.
You broke up. Say that again.
That's all he did. I say all he did for 4 years was have rallies.
I don't know. I think people thought the fact that the economy was good, we weren't always at war. I think he did a little bit more. I'll give you the last word. I do got to move it on, but I think folks believe he did a lot more than just held rallies.
Well, I guess maybe you're right. But man, when you have all the bad, it don't work for me. It really don't. I appreciate you letting me come on there.
Hey,
I really do.
Good talking to you.
Your program was very knowledgeable, and I learned a lot.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you here. Come back anytime. Looking,
Okay, brother. Thank you, sir.
not a problem. Looking in the comments here, and I'm having a bit of trouble with the app too. So, sound like it's either breaking up or something. I don't know what happened. I switched from T-Mobile to Verizon, and since I've done that, apparently my new phone doesn't like TikTok. Apparently, looking on YouTube, for instance, who cares? My mother trying to move in because of Biden. Wait a minute, Trump 2024, suggesting that under Biden, the economy sucks so bad that this viewer's mom is trying to move back in with him. Wow, that's tough shit there. He okayed permits to drill for oil in Alaska, which lowers our gas prices. That's from Kevin O'Leary, a response to the suggestion that the president does nothing to control gas prices. President Trump okayed permits to drill for oil in Alaska, making us more energy independent, which is why I'm asking, why not President Trump come this November? What would be wrong with putting Trump back in the White House compared to the fact that many of us, liberals and Democrats alike, are complaining with the job of President Biden? You know, Biden's poll numbers, even among Democrats, is not very good. Not very good at all. The poll numbers for Trump among Republicans is sky high. Trump gets a hell of a larger confidence vote from his people than Biden does. Even Biden's own supporters do not support him very much. So why not Trump? Why not re-elect Trump? It is a slow news day, as always. I stated this is a devil's advocate live, so I want to take the other side to get your opinion. By the way, on TikTok, 800 plus of you in here this evening. You could be anywhere. Glad to have you here. Tap the screen. Get me on up to 20,000 on the like side. Certainly on YouTube, a smaller audience right now. Smash that like button. Help get the program up and running. Looking in the comments, no. Perhaps, but they are polling people. And the numbers for Biden. In fact, I've polled a few of you folks in here. Most of the folks that are voting for Biden that I've talked to are not big fans of Biden. They just hate Trump that much. I've asked that question many times. If you are going to vote for Biden, not necessarily because you're a big fan of Biden, but you don't want Trump back in office, and overwhelming, I get a lot of results on that, is that a lot of folks believe that Biden is not that great, but they just refuse to support President Trump again. So that's not uncommon. I get that all the time. Let me try to move the program on if I can. Wing Ding King. Certainly, if the app lets me bring him up. Wing Ding King, good afternoon.
Hey, what's up, handsome?
Not much at all. Good to have you on. Why not Trump, man? Why not a second coming of Trump? Do you see Biden as unifying us?
One thing, listen, man, like the guy just said before, they're both old as hell.
Okay.
But the difference is, one is presidential, and the other feels like he's a comedian. Everything is like turned around, just like he just lied about talking to the family of the young lady that was killed. He just sit up there and lied and said that he spoke to the family. The family said, we haven't spoken to this person at all.
Yeah, I don't. You're talking about the nursing student that was killed by an illegal immigrant, and I don't know why would he do that. I don't know why he would.
Because he know he can say anything, and the people that follow him will get even crazier and go with that. All these migrants. Not talking about the Republicans that's been caught doing SAing these young kids, having all these videotapes of these young kids. Not talking about that. The whole thing is to put it on immigrants and make them feel like, oh, these immigrants coming here. That's it. That's his whole thing. His whole thing is hate. That is his whole thing. His whole thing is hate, division. That is his whole thing. Just like the guy said before me. I was when he said he was running for president, I was like, okay, Donald Trump. Okay, bro. You know, you different. You a businessman.
Did you vote for him? Did you vote for him?
No, I didn't vote for him.
Okay.
Because after doing the research and finding out more and more about him, like, dude, you're a grifter. You're a user. He's using the MAGA. He's using majority of the white people and just using them strictly based off hate.
So if you believe he's using white people with a platform of hate, why don't white people realize that? If that was true, why don't they see it?
When you speak something that people want to hear, and he's Donald Trump saying it, oh man, we loving this.
You believe you believe white people in this country want a leader that runs a platform of hate? You think that's what white people want?
Not all white people.
Give me an estimated percentage.
I say if out of the 160 million that voted, 40 million feels the same way Trump feel.
That's about a fourth.
I'm just saying, man. Look at it. Look at it now. Look at who's burning Bibles because they done found out. They boy Putin said it. They found the Jesus. They found the Jesus portrait of him being black.
Are they
burning Bibles?
Are they really burning? Where'd you hear they were burning Bibles?
Man, I saw they said Europeans of America are burning Bibles. Now, maybe it's not true, but all of a sudden now, since they realize what we've been saying, you probably said it too, that we know that the Bible, the Quran, and all those books are about the black people. You know,
so you're just for clarity for folks listening to him. So you're suggesting because Vladimir Putin came out, suggested he found documents or whatever the case may be to suggest that Jesus was actually a darker skinned individual. Some white people are actually burning the Bible because they don't like.
They're pissed.
Wow.
They're pissed. Because think about it. Everything they talk about with Christianity is how they love Jesus. Oh, we love Jesus. We love Jesus. But he had hair wool and feet of brass and eyes of fire. Come on, man. If that ain't a brother, something wrong, bro. If that ain't a brother, something wrong.
Well, I will say geographically, considering where all of this took place, you know, and it is,
exactly.
Yeah, geographically, it would make sense that this person would not be white with blue eyes. That geographically makes no sense.
But it's not a knock on all, man, because I believe for everyone that follows Trump is 3 or 4 whites. That's not going. Not trying to go backwards. Not trying
Oh,
In
whoa,
the 30s.
whoa.
Come on, man.
You're not telling me there's a dog whistle in this.
Of course. Of course it is, man.
Oh man.
Come on, make America great again. Come on, man. And none of those people believe in the Southern Switch by Lee Atwater. Don't none of them believe that. Don't none of them believe that. Don't none of them believe that we was actually Republicans. We was Republicans.
Yeah, I gotta agree that the switch of parties, that is something that a lot of folks do not believe in discount.
Do not believe. And I'm like, why? Why wouldn't you believe that? This is for real, man. And he's using every ploy he can, and he done brought out the closet racists. He done brought them out. He brought them out. And now they feel freely to just speak any way they can to anybody they feel like that isn't white.
But we had 4 years of Trump, and many would suggest it was successful.
Only 2 years, man. The first 2 years, he ran off what Obama did. Come on, man. He ran off what Obama did. And then he did the dummy.
Okay, I don't know what just happened. My device froze up. Let me see if I can bring TikTok back up. Has he ever watched a Trump rally? Probably not. I've been to one. I don't know if my last guest watched one. Let me see if I can bring back the... hang on a second here. TikTok has just been really, really problematic today. Let me see if I can resume what was going on there. Let's see, 3, 2, and 1. I'm having a significant amount of trouble on TikTok. Okay, so my last guest, I guess. Okay, you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. This app is giving me all kinds of problems on this new phone. So,
but like I said, he had the pandemic playbook. Right. They was there waiting for China to do something stupid. And what'd he do? Oh, we're gonna get this out of here. Oh, don't worry about this. I'm not worried about this. Come on, man.
Well, he
did not care.
He obviously had a different opinion than President Obama, but I do got to move it on.
He did.
Yeah.
Of course he did. Hold on. Just one last thing. Just think about it, man. You had this guy that was before you that laid out a playbook just in case a pandemic jump off. He had them watching them in Wuhan. He had them watching those labs just in case. All of a sudden, you just throw that all away because you compromised. He compromised by China. He's compromised by Russia. He's compromised by Saudi Arabia. He's compromised by North Korea. He's compromised, man.
I don't know if I can buy into that. I got to move it on, but I don't know if I can. I got to move it on. I got to move it on, but I don't know if I. All right, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can buy into that. President Trump is compromised by China, Russia, North Korea. That's harsh. I don't know if I can buy into that. He is favorable to Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, but compromised? I don't know. I see in the comments, a lot of folks do agree with my last caller, but I do see someone say that is BS. I don't know. That was Ernest Whitaker said it's BS. Trump said we should be able to suspend the Constitution. Very patriotic. No, that is not patriotic, and I do believe there is validity to the fact that he said that. Look at you back. So now, the Biden family is a mafia government regime, says RB. I would have to see evidence for that. I don't know. Biden family is a mafia regime. I have to see some evidence of that. Let me go ahead and go back to the box if I can continue with the program, because I've had so much difficulty with this app. Wow. Dave G. Hopefully we can bring them on. By the way, thank you folks for tapping the screen. Getting the likes up to around 40,000 certainly would help out. Going to the box, government mafia regime. Wow. Okay, going to my next guest. It's already starting to have problems. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So what do you think would be so wrong with putting Trump back in there?
He didn't really do too bad last time. He just got kind of busy dealing with everybody trying to bust his chops. Yeah. Take him down. So I mean, Republicans hate him.
So
Democrats hate him.
Why? Why is that? Why is he hated so much?
Probably because he don't put up with none of their fucking bullshit.
Okay, so he.
You know, usually a politician, they talk a certain way, they walk a certain way, they smile a certain way. What they say, a politician is the same as a nobleman of old. He says one thing, but he thinks another one.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Trump is more realistic, and a lot of folks don't like a real. They like the phony, the bullshit.
No, they like somebody that will say it true, but they also like somebody that'll back it up.
Right.
And I hadn't really seen Trump back down from anybody.
Yeah. No, and I agree. Trump is not known to apologize or back down, but what about some folks say his rhetoric is what turns people off? You know, the insults, the name calling. Do you think that's a good idea?
It seems like everybody thinks it's a good idea. Every one of these little live things that are, you know, there's a lot of...
Wait a minute. We're talking about the president, not somebody on TikTok. We're talking about the actual president. You think it's a good idea for the politicians?
So we never said nothing about Roosevelt doing his fireside chats, but the thing about it, with the fireside chats, the people didn't get to talk back. Okay. Right here on TikTok, you can actually talk back if they're willing to, you know, speak back.
So what I'm trying to confirm,
I think it's good that politicians like him will get down and actually address what the common people are concerned about.
Okay.
Or what regular people, and you can call AKA code for white people, whatever. Just take the race shit, just throw it out. Just forget about race for a minute. Simple thing is that he resonates with people because he's saying that he's going to do what a lot of these people want. Whether it's good or bad, you can fight about the moral objectivity of it till hell freezes over. But the fact is that people want the border closed. He's speaking, he wants the border closed. He has proven he's going to try when he gets in there to close the border. In other words, he's keeping his word.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying. But I'm going back to the rhetoric point of it because you're saying people want him back in there to give the attempt to close the border. But if folks don't like him, he may never get that chance. Which is why I asked you. You believe in name calling and the social media, you know, insults and things. You think that's a good idea?
I've seen him call a few people a few things, but normally it's when he's been attacked by him.
Bird brain?
But then again, like I said, there's stuff probably going on in the background that we don't even see.
Okay, well, until the people see it, if somebody is attacking him behind the scenes and he's attacking them publicly, he looks like the only one launching an attack.
It's the bully pulpit of that's what they used to call it when Obama was in office. He would kind of do the same thing. He just wasn't as he was a little more sophisticated in the way he talked. You know, he always talked in a way, you know, yes, you know what you're about, but you know, I'm still smarter than you. That was the way all politicians seem to start talking until people like Trump started to show up. People who are just tired of the glitz and glamour. It's like wrestling. I mean, politics is like wrestling. They got a lot of shit talking in wrestling, don't they?
Yeah. Well, in regards to you brought up Obama, for instance. Now, you know, Trump before becoming president was saying he was born in Kenya and things like that. You think that was favorable to President Trump? You think that was a good idea for him?
A lot of these accusations were tossed before Trump even showed up.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean Trump got to join in.
Maybe he believes it too.
Okay. Well, but then he changed
Just because you're president doesn't mean doesn't mean you're always right. Doesn't mean you're always wrong.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't mean you're always right or wrong. So I'm just trying to make sure I get clarity because he is often getting in, you know, internet battles or fights and name calling. You personally believe that all of that stuff is good for him to do?
It seems to be working. Yeah. Because it seems like the more shit they toss at him, the more it just pisses people off and rile them up and make them support him even harder.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, they're taking the hate y'all are spouting at them and then turning it into something that they're motivated to see done.
Wow.
I see it. I've been seeing it for years.
Okay. So do you now? Many folks would suggest that Trump could not accomplish many of his signature promises the first time he was in office because he never got a chance to do anything. They were attacking him from day one. If he gets reelected, do you think he will actually be able to accomplish things, or will they be attacking him from day two?
I'm pretty sure they're going to go right back after him because that's just they saw it had success before. Yeah. I mean, they've already tossed out the pandemic. My thing is well, what they're going to use next to kind of stall them out.
What do you mean? Wait. What do you mean when you hang on? Hold on. You said they tossed out the pandemic. Explain that.
No, seriously. We've had pandemic threats before with Ebola a few years before that. Hell, everybody just got called racist because they wanted to stop flights from West Africa because that's where Ebola's from. But because it's from West Africa, somebody might be using this as a racist motive. So we can't do that, and that could have caused a big bad thing. You ever heard of Ebola? That's some nasty shit.
Yeah.
Some real nasty shit. Doesn't matter. It's some nasty disease.
So how do you...
They didn't shut down the border or anything. We didn't have no pandemic, and then we had something like COVID. It turned out to be more than a damn flu.
So how do you respond, speaking of that, calling folks racist when they wanted to shut down flights from China? How do you respond to folks who suggest that the Trump administration...
I didn't say China.
Well...
I'm saying back during the Obama administration, we had an Ebola scare. And people started calling to ban flights temporarily from Western Africa, from where that region where the disease would come from. Okay. Because it's one of those diseases that will show up all of a sudden and then disappear.
Okay. So how do you respond to folks? But how do you respond to folks who are like my last caller who suggest that Trump and his supporters is laced with bigotry and folks who are prejudiced?
I hear it all the time. I've been called a racist more. If I had a nickel for every time somebody called me a racist, I mean, I'd be as rich as Trump. I wouldn't even worry about running as president. My ass would be out of here. Bye, bigots. Bye, haters. I'm going to go sit on the beach. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take your money. I'm going to make it into coins. I'm going to buy me a kiddie pool. I'm going to lay you're bathing in this money, not caring about your hate. That's how I live my life. I don't give a shit about it anymore. When you're young, you want to fight back. You got your balls on hard. You're trying to show your heart and everything like that. But as you get older and you get your ass beat a few times, you tend to realize sometimes it's best just keep your mouth shut, let them call you what they think, and let them run their mouth. And you realize how big a fool they are because they won't stop running it. Yeah. Taking any new information.
But is it possible that maybe, because you mentioned you're older, you don't get involved in that stuff, it's best to just keep your mouth shut? Trump is likely older than you are. Why won't he take that advice?
Well, sometimes when you're at that age, you got nothing left to lose because, Grim Reaper time's right around the corner. He's got a Miller sitting there waiting for him. I mean, a lot of them fuckers are old timers. Didn't one of them croak a few months back, Feinstein?
Yeah.
The woman who kind of had something to do with banning assault rifles, not only from white Americans but from black Americans.
Wow.
Basically deprived the whole culture of people as a gun society. Yeah. They're given right to bear arms, regardless of race.
Yeah. I don't know.
Why would you say that? Why don't people think of it that way?
Well, some do. But you see my last caller, when you got folks that believe a large portion of the Republican constituent is racist and bigots, you can understand that that's scaring some folks away. A lot of folks I get a lot of callers that believe that.
Sure. I mean, let's look at history. I'm a Georgian. I'm born and raised in Georgia.
Okay.
Still living in Georgia. Been here since 1982. Lived in Texas for about 5 years and stuff. So, I've learned a little bit about the South. Growing up in the South, it wasn't all white. I went to school with population was half black. Half my schoolmates were black.
Right.
And then I moved to Texas, and half my schoolmates are Chicano, which is what they refer to as the Mexican Americans who are born actually in America, the Chicanos, And
yeah, but
learn difference in cultures and things like that, and then it's the same thing. White man is just the blame for everything.
Well, I don't say.
And also, not only that, it's your people, being a Southern man from Georgia whose ancestors fought in the Confederacy. Not only that, fought in the Revolution. Beside people like George Washington, fought beside people like General Lee.
Well, the issue I have with that is certainly when it comes to the Confederate flag, I think the history around it is so misrepresented. I mean, I got folks in my program that come in here regularly and say if the Confederates had won the Civil War, they would have immediately freed black people. I don't even know what to do with stuff like that.
One of the big problems America had was they decided to start a war. Well, the South started the war. We'll go ahead and put that.
Why? What was the purpose? Why did they start the Civil War? What was the purpose of the Civil War?
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, it was 87 years since the Revolution, and slavery was an issue. Slavery was a big issue, but you also got to look at the difference between North and South. You know, the South was bigger. It was agrarian, which means it was relying on human hands basically to grow crops and stuff. And I'm not just saying for
yeah, but wait, you said they were relying on human hands. I mean,
they needed slave labor in order to keep making the money.
Listen to what you're saying. But listen to what you're saying. They needed slave labor to keep making the money. Those are human beings.
I didn't say it was a good thing.
Okay,
I'm just saying in their mindset, that's what they said. They needed those. It was before the mechanical industrial revolution. They used human beings for labor. And slaves, there's been white slaves too.
Okay, so
there's been Chinese slaves. The whole Roman unit was beaten in a war. It was all captured and marched to China to be sold into slavery.
So why do you think, considering what you just said about you're not saying it's a good thing to use humans for labor and to make money?
I'm just saying it's what is.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not Hold on, hang on. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm asking you a question. If that is true, why do so many people wave around the Confederate flag in modern times? What is the purpose of that?
Well, even a lot of Southerners, the original Confederate flag, if you look at
I'm talking about the one they are actually. I'm talking about the one they're waving around now, the stars and bars.
Let me finish. That flag was actually a battle flag for a militia up in Virginia, and I don't know how it caught on, but it became the symbol of hate because later on, the people who lost, us Southerners, held a lot of resentment against not only the North, they came home, their land was destroyed, and yes, everybody's like, oh, they deserve it for being treasonous. What, America founded on treason? You know? Yeah.
So let me ask you, in your opinion.
The point is that flag has been used ever since the Civil War, since the Confederacy died, since Lee surrendered, which we can say is definitely basically the end of the Confederacy when Lee surrendered. From that point on, anytime the Confederacy was brought up, is it brought up by the North to scare black folks into voting for Republicans, or it was brought up by the Democrats to rally the white people who were mad because they lost the war. I mean, they gave everything.
So let me interrupt. How do you believe, in your opinion, blacks should view folks waving the stars and bars now in 2024?
Probably the same way they should with any flag. Why are they flying it?
So if I see you, So if I see you, hold on, hang on. If I see you waving
symbols and adopt them and use them for other causes.
So if I see you, hold on, sir, let's have a conversation. You're not giving me a chance to respond. If I see you waving the American flag, you're telling me I should have no different opinion of somebody waving the American flag versus a Confederate flag. If I'm black, I should view you the same way.
I'm not telling you to have an opinion or not. It's your decision to have an opinion. I'm not forcing you to have a decision. We're in America. It's your decision to make a decision on it. Just like it's my decision.
But I'm asking you for your opinion on it.
Well, I never saw the stars and bars as a sign of hate. I always saw it as a sign of rebellion. I think they're more scared of signs of rebellion than they are of signs of hate.
Okay.
Especially the government. The government hates the idea of rebellion.
Okay, so you believe that people of color perhaps should see the stars and bars as a sign of rebellion?
Well, they should take it how it's been given to them in all forms by all people. In the same way, they take the American flag. It's been given in all forms by all people.
So let me ask you this question.
What's the flag?
Let me ask you this question. In your opinion, what does the phrase, you often hear this in conjunction with the stars and bars, what do you think the phrase "the South will rise again" means?
Well, it means we'll rise again. It means we'll have to fight them again.
Why would
our war was with the government? Our war was with the government. Our states called because our states went into rebellion against the North. Most of the whites that fought in the Confederacy, they didn't own a slave. They might have known somebody that owned a slave. But
they were fighting for slavery to continue.
But they're also fighting because the state called them. It's like America goes to war and they raise the call. You answer the call, go to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the same way. Most people don't understand the concept of back then because, at least in the South, after the war, we'll still refer to ourselves as Georgians, Tennesseans, Louisianians, Kentuckians, Virginians, Georgians, Texans. You don't hear many people from Ohio call themselves Ohio or Connecticut or New York. You hear New Yorkers, of course, and Californians, but you don't hear nobody saying they're from Washington or they're United.
I mean, I suppose.
It's just because back in those days when the states, which were originally colonies, joined up, they were their own entities. They were all living, breathing entities, just like the American government.
Yeah. So
they joined that union to fight against the common enemy, which was the British.
So if you heard some black folks saying that they view the stars and bars as a symbol of racism, do you believe that is completely inaccurate, or is it possible that could be true?
I think they're taking something and turned it into something else, and that's referring to the white people who's used it.
So you believe that
white people has ever had the blessing of every Southerner either.
So you believe white people have taken the Confederate flag and turned it into a racist symbol?
A lot of them have, particularly the damn Nazi muffins and the damn socialists.
Yeah.
Especially if they use hate against Jews.
So
stars and bars.
So considering you believe some people who truly are proud of their Southern pride are flying the flag, and then there's some people, as you say, that are white and racist that are flying the flag. If an African American, let's say, went to a Trump rally or a Republican gathering and that flag was being flown, how would he know the difference? How would he know if the person he's looking at is flying it for Southern pride or flying it out of racism? How would they be able to tell the difference?
Maybe by just standing there and looking and listening and watching. That's what I normally do. Don't start asking questions till you start seeing how they are.
Do you believe that every person... Do you believe that every person that is, maybe let's say somebody who is racist, they're just going to be in public every time making it clear so you can just listen in to them and you'll know?
That doesn't mean they won't either.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, though.
Garrulous. Some people get garrulous in the company of like-minded folks, and then they start bragging and boasting. And in those brags and boasts, you can kind of start telling one thing. They're bragging and boasting. They're kind of an arrogant SOB. Yeah. They're kind of cocky. They're probably not the type of person to want to hang out with. And then, if you listen a little more, they start corresponding.
Yeah, but you're not, do you really want to get, if you go to let's say you go to a Trump rally and you see 2 or 3 people there with a really big Confederate flag and you happen to be African American and you're concerned, do you really want to get close enough to them to listen? If they do happen to be racist, you may not be safe. Why would you want to get close enough to judge their conversation?
Well, according to the Democrats, what they've been telling me, any black person going to a Trump rally is supposed to be marked for death anyway.
Yeah, but I'm getting your opinion. I'm not going by Democrat. I'm getting your opinion. I'm asking you personally. Are you advising someone?
I don't know. I mean, if they want to go, I can't tell them not to go.
That ain't what I'm asking.
If they want to go, they need to go and find out for themselves and quit listening to what everybody else is saying.
Yeah, but that's
I mean, go out and find for yourself, and not just sit here and talk to all these people, but go out there and just stand and listen and watch.
So just to get
listen to how the speeches, the promises these people are campaigning on, and then listen to Trump.
So that is, I just want to make sure I get clarity. So what you're saying, if you go, because I've been to a Trump rally. If you go to a rally and you see a couple people flying
Did
a
you
big,
feel in danger?
What?
Did you feel in danger?
No, I didn't
At
feel
any
it.
time.
I didn't, but I didn't see anybody flying the stars and bars either, though. Which is why I'm asking you this.
But if you went there and somebody was flying the stars and bars, would you feel in danger?
I damn sure wouldn't go to them and listen to their conversation like you're advising. I wouldn't do that.
Well, that might be prudent.
And you just told me you're.
Again, then you'll never really know what type of person they are.
Can I? Let me.
Just go up to them and say, "Hey," and hope for the best that you won't run into a bigot. Then.
And hopefully you don't face violence.
When you go into something, try to at least try to half-ass gain some intelligence on something, reconnoiter. You know. Let
me ask you this question now. In regards to folks who are flying the stars and bars because they are proud of their heritage, I'm not talking about the racists. I'm talking about folks that you would say is flying it because they're proud of their heritage. When we see athletes taking a knee and disrespecting the anthem, folks would suggest they're disrespecting the anthem. Everybody speaks up. Everybody, particularly veterans that have fought for the flag, they speak up and speak out. Even if the guy is 90 years old, even if the veteran is, hold on, hang on. Let me finish the question before you chime in. Even if the veteran is 90 years old, if you're disrespecting the flag, they're going to step up and voice their opinion. For folks,
I got you back. I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
Okay, let me reset the app because that's what's happening. Is there are some problems with the app? Because I did want to ask you a question. Okay, I'm gonna reset that on YouTube. Interesting dialogue back and forth with that gentleman. If I can, folks, bear with me. I don't know. I'm having a lot of problems with TikTok. I look in the comments on YouTube. We should judge people by the context of their character and not the color of their skin. I agree with that, James. That Martin Luther King quote, "I only fly the American flag. I have no other allegiance," says Little Red. That's the way it should be. But there are a lot of folks that fly the stars and bars. While my device is resetting on TikTok, for you folks on YouTube, state in the comments, what do you think of? What do you believe is the reason folks in modern times still fly the stars and bars? What does it mean when you see it? Looking in the comments, I don't even like the blue line flag. Wow. DJ, what it says, Dukes of Hazzard weren't racist, says Uncle Ray. Just a bunch of good old boys, never meaning no harm. You know, was there anybody black on the Dukes? I don't know if they're racist or not. They never really even encountered another race to know about it. Looking in the comments. Agree or not, the reason why people fly the Confederate flag is probably because their ancestors fought for what they believed in different times. Out of all of the things that took place during the Civil War, is there no other symbol? Same thing with being proud of your Southern heritage. Is there no other symbol other than that flag? Just curious. Real quick, try to go back to TikTok. Hopefully I can continue my conversation with the last gentleman. We'll see what happens. Just been having a significant amount of trouble with the app. So let's see what happens if we try to bring it back up. Let's see here. It looks like it's already hesitating here. 2, 1. Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me on there? Down south. Okay. I don't know if my last guest is still there. Apparently he is gone. I wanted to continue talking to him, but are you there?
Decided to terrorize some people years ago.
Are you there, sir?
Yes, man. How you doing? Look, I got about an hour before I need to get ready for work.
Okay.
You know, I would like maybe come back another time, sir, if it's possible.
That is possible. Come on back through anytime.
Where you from, House?
All right, I'm in the Midwest. I'll move it on. I don't know what just happened, but I'll move it on. Don't disown it. Just flaunt it at a political rally. Yes, do it again. Looking in the comments real quick, take them back. I don't know what happened there, but we'll move the program on. Lots of trouble here today with the app. Going back to the box, still sharpens still. Wow. Okay, fair enough. Still sharpens still. I'm from Virginia. Did you see the videos? No, I haven't seen them yet, Andy. Haven't had a time to check yet. I'm having so much trouble with this damn app. I don't know what to say though, but I haven't seen the videos. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. My last guest is apparently in limbo. I'm trying to bring a guest up, but don't even seem like they're going to let him come up. Well, let's see if we can continue moving it on. Kenny, South Park, shout out to the animation there. Trump bond rejected by the court. What? Trump's bond? Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm John Roberts in for Brett Baer this evening. New information on the suspected migrant squatters who have been...
That's Fox News. Trump's bond rejected by the court. What are you talking about?
CNN.
Benjamin Netanyahu an ultimatum. Take concrete steps.
Ain't nobody on the radio talking about that. That was CNN and Fox News at the top of the hour. Neither one of them is saying that. What are you? Yeah, something up with the bond company finance statements. Whoa! Well, they rejected the $175 million Trump put up. Oh my God, that's going to drive a few people ape shit. Wow, Trump's bond. Letitia James, that whole melee, Trump's bond got rejected. Holy cow, I gotta look that up. You guys got me wanting to get to a television station now. Financials are missing, says Lisa in Code Jam. Let you in and take your... So you're saying that perhaps they don't know enough about the money. In other words, is it coming from Russia, Saudi Arabia? They need to know where that $175 million is coming from. And that's a legitimate... yes, that's a legitimate thing to ask. Because I just had a guest on here. I just had a guest not long ago suggest, and I didn't buy into it, but one of my guests suggested that Trump could be compromised, suggesting that, you know, he favors dictators and all of that because he could be compromised. They could buy him off. So we do need to know where the money came from. And that would apply even if it was Biden. Can you imagine Hillary Clinton, folks who call her crooked, had to put up $175 million and you didn't know where it came from? Folks will say the same about her. So I do believe that that's a legitimate investigation. They need to show where the money came from. $175 million is obviously nothing to shake a stick at. So where did you get this money, sir? That's a good one to look into. Wow, though, that's crazy. Don Rubio, we were doing the program from a devil's advocate standpoint. Had a lot of problems out of the app, but what we were asking is why not reelect Trump? Don, good evening. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, because it kind of is breaking up on my phone here, but I just want to give you a little insight from a white woman. I'm almost 62 years old.
Okay.
I was born in the 60s, went to school, I'm from Virginia, small town, rural Virginia. I grew up, but a lot of my friends that I had in school were all black. I didn't feel like that, racist stuff like it is now. It's more now than it was back then, I feel like.
Yeah, let me interrupt. I'll just say this. I will just say this. It is more racist and divided than it was back then. And the reason is, I say all the time, is that more people have a place at the table. A black person's opinion, an LGBT member's opinion, a woman's opinion has more validity than it used to back then. Back then, the whole narrative was controlled by a much smaller group of people. So it's going to be divisive because everybody gets a chance to speak nowadays.
Yeah, and I grew up Republican. I talked to you before. Then I was a Republican all the way up, and I voted for Trump in 2016. And I remember back years ago when I worked with a lot of Democrats. And my one friend, he was always telling me, Don, you know, he would try to tell me all this stuff. And now everything that he told me, I called him and I said, Terry, everything you told me back then was the truth.
What did he tell you?
Because he was telling me how, you know, they always preach, the Republicans, they're going to take your guns. They ain't going to take no guns. There's as many Democrats out here with guns as there is Republicans. We like our guns too.
Yeah, but Beto O'Rourke did yell out, "You're damn right we're going to take your AR-15." He did say it out loud.
Well, I don't think anybody needs an AR.
Okay.
I mean,
so you are taking some guns. Then you are
AR to hunt and survive.
Then you are taking some guns. You're taking AR-15s.
Well, that I'm for. I'm for restricting some guns, I guess.
Okay, so
but not all guns are.
Right. So Democrats, in your opinion, Democrats are not.
They're talking. My family are talking about deer guns. You know, I grew up in the South, and you're talking about that Confederate flag. And when I used to drive from Tennessee to Virginia back and forth, there was a place and always had a big Confederate flag up there on the hill. And every time I went by, I used to just really like tug at my heart because I was like, man, these people hate black people. You know, and I'm not. I have to be real with myself because I've been a racist.
Wow.
I've said the N word. I grew up in the, you know, I even though I had friends and I had friends that were married to black people, they still racist.
Wow.
Just because you marry somebody or you're around black people don't mean you can't be racist. They racist behind your back.
Wow.
They're homophobic behind your back. I worked with gay people, and I heard people, you know, once the door was shut, they'd be whispering behind their back. You know, I didn't like that.
So do you buy into the notion?
The reason I changed because I met my husband in 2014, and you know, I told you he's Honduran. He got deported. He changed my being around somebody different from another country. I've traveled Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico. I've gotten out and I've lived a little bit. I moved to Houston, Texas. I lived there I've been there 4 or 5 years. It just gives you a different perspective on life, different people than living in a small town. All my family right now barely speaks to me.
Wow.
Because when my husband got deported, they started talking about, you know, illegals and talking nasty about my husband, which most of them never met. He's a good person. And because of Trump, there's a big divide in my family.
Wow.
Because even my son, my daughter is Democrat. She changed when I did, but my son is, he's changing a little bit. He's changing. I keep talking to him and he's changing.
Changing how?
So well, we were talking about, recently I seen him around Christmas time, and we were talking about people being bilingual. And I said, you know, I think it's like 25% of the USA people speak Spanish. And he's like, yeah, I think everybody should be bilingual. You know, it should be taught. I wish I've been with my husband 10 years and I can't speak much Spanish myself. And I wish I knew more Spanish. And I'm learning little by little, but it takes a long time. And he speaks very good English. When I met him in Tennessee, I wanted him to be very good speaking English.
So do you buy into do you buy into the notion? I've had callers call in here and suggest that the Republican Party has a large racist element in it, or bigoted element in the Republican Party. Do you believe there's any validity to that?
Oh yes, I believe that if you are racist, you're going to be voting Republican. You're going to go in the Republican Party. Yeah, I do. I think, and that's why I wanted to leave. That's why I changed after I voted for Trump. I went and I changed to Democrat. But now I even feel like I'm more than that. I'm liberal. I feel like, because I think all humans have rights.
Yeah.
And did you see where Trump came out? I think it was yesterday, saying he's talking about illegals. I guess he's calling them animals now.
Yeah,
They're animals.
he's done that a few times. I've done a video on it.
Yeah, hate, just hate. I speak from my heart. I have a lot of black friends, Hispanic friends, and I tell them where I come from. I learn from. You have to grow as a human being. You have to grow and be better people.
Wow.
And hopefully, and I tell them every day, I'm a better person since I met my husband, because I changed my heart. And people have to be more loving, caring. That's how and Republicans are all Christian. And anymore, when I hear somebody say, I'm a Christian, that to me just like punches me in the stomach like, no, you're not.
Damn.
No, you're not, because you got a lot of the people that I hear say that, family members and people
Yeah.
I know they're real thinking. I've been in their homes, and I grew up with them. You know, I've heard the talk they talk.
Wow.
So.
And you said you're from Virginia, right?
I'm from Virginia. I currently live in Reynosa, Mexico, across the border from McAllen, Texas. I've heard you say you've been to McAllen.
Yes.
I moved there because my husband and I got our residency in Reynosa, and I wanted to finish working because I'm getting ready to draw my Social Security this year. In October, I'll be 62. So and I'm really worried about that when they're talking about taking Social Security.
So your story is your husband had came in the country illegally a couple times, and now before he can come back, even though you're married, it has to be a 10-year gap.
Yes.
You still had 5 more years before he can live in America.
Well, 5 more years before we can apply. Then that may take a couple years to process that, a year or so, whatever. You know, I told you I'm in that group of, we're 1.1 million U.S. citizens married to undocumented spouses.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a few people out here. There's a lot of people in this group that I'm in. You can look us up. Anybody can look us up.
Yeah.
If they want to join, you know.
So what is it like for an American living in Mexico?
The people, like I tell people, when I just crossed the border, I actually just came to McAllen. I'm going to do a little shopping over here. I get along with the people, and supposedly Reynosa is one of the most dangerous cities in Mexico. I can't say it's not dangerous. There's a lot going on down there, but I don't see it because, you know, I'm not out there. I'm not out there in the middle of maybe like partying or going out to bars or doing that. We stay home and, you know, we're just living our life. We're trying to get this time over so we can apply to come back. And I have friends that just got back in the USA after their spouses was out 10 years. And they just got back in like in October. He did his 10 years, and it took about maybe another 13 months to get the approval. But
Wow.
most people can come back.
So you're looking at
The Confederate flag and me growing up the way I did, to me it's all spews hate of black people.
wow.
I don't care what anybody. I'm white, and I hate it. And I mean, I'm listening to these people, and I just, it gets under my skin because I know what they're thinking. They're telling these lies like it's not about the black people. Yes, it is. Don't lie.
And like one of the guys pointed out, it has been adopted as a symbol of hate by most hate groups fly the Confederate flag in addition to whatever else they're flying. So I don't know why they chose that flag, but most hate groups do fly the Confederate flag.
Yeah, because it's the same you know, I had kids. I drove school bus 26 years, and I drove bus 20 years in Virginia, small town in Virginia. And I had kids that used to get on the bus, and they wore these little, I know these white people know about that little hook on their caps. They wore this little big fishing hook on their caps.
Okay.
And I was like, what's that for? What's that for? And it's all racist. It's like letting another person, white person, know, I don't like, you know, look here, I don't like certain people.
A hook on a fishing cap.
I like when I see that, I was like, get that off your hat. You know, I told I have nephews, I'm like, what are you doing wearing it on your hat, you know?
Wow, a hook on a fishing
It's
cap.
true.
I've never heard that before.
They have these big hooks, and they put them on their caps, on their hats. They think it's cool or something, but I ask, what is it? What's it represent? And it represents hate, is all it represent.
Wow. You're teaching me some things I have never heard of before, Don. Well, I do have to move it on, but you're always a very interesting guest. So, you what are you looking at? 2000? What are you looking at? How far are you looking out? 2030?
Yeah, about 2030. Right now, this group that I'm in, and there's a lot of people trying to get parole for our spouses. You know, Joe Biden just signed an executive order to bring in, what was it? I can't remember how many Venezuelans. Okay, if he can bring people from Venezuela, other countries, why can't he bring our spouses back to us for U.S. citizens? You know, we're talking about people that didn't commit crimes. These people are non-criminals. Just, you know.
Yeah, but they're gonna say your husband came in the country twice illegally, so you can't say he's not a criminal. He did commit a crime twice.
Well, all right. I want to tell you this. One thing I wanted to tell you. Back in 1986, I was very disappointed when I found out Bill Clinton signed in one of the worst immigration laws ever. Called the IRA. You can look it up. I don't know how it's spelled out, but that before 1986, if you were a U.S. citizen, you married a non-immigrant, or like an undocumented spouse, all you had to do was pretty much go and do a couple things, and he got his green card. But after 1986, Bill Clinton, they put all these bars. They called them bars. And
yeah, but wait a minute. You mean 96? Bill Clinton was not in the 90s.
Was it not 96 or 86? I can't.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 96.
Yeah, it would have been in the 90s.
But it was under Bill Clinton, so he was in 96. I got my years mixed up.
Okay, all right.
But you can go and check it out. Bill Clinton signed that, because he was a Democrat. That was very disappointing for me. But it's on both sides of the parties, right and left, on immigration.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people like me, and it destroys people's families. Kids are torn apart from their parents for 10 years, and they have to go live in these very dangerous cities or countries like Honduras. I went to Honduras and I got attacked while I was there. About 20 men come to my husband's house and they attack us.
For what?
Like on Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve.
They just attacked you for the sake of doing so?
No, my brother-in-law was arguing with some guys, and I don't know if they wanted to fight him, but ended up when he came, when we went out, there was 25 men outside our door.
Wow.
And they were they attacked me. I come back with bruises and I thought I was going to get killed. I actually thought I was going to die that night because my dad had told me, don't go down there. You're going to get killed. I dreamed you got killed. And I was like, oh, my God, it's coming true. I'm going to get killed.
Jesus.
Hey, someone put that in there. It's called the IRA. IRA.
Yeah, my side, I'm going to have to drop you, but my side, I can't see anything. My whole device over here is frozen, so I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm not able to see any of the comments or anything, but always, Don, certainly a pleasure talking to you. We'll definitely be talking again. It really sucks what you're going through, but at the end of the day, sometimes you got to vote. This is where voting, you do still vote in the elections, right?
Yes, I do, and that's a big misconception that people think because we don't live in the USA, we can't vote, but that's not true, and you know that.
Yep.
We do get to vote.
I did the same. I lived overseas.
I file my taxes. Listen, I file my taxes with my husband every year since he's been deported. I still file my taxes. I file with my husband because I am married. I still file with him on my taxes, and what else was I going to say about my taxes? I pay them every year. This year was the first year I actually got a refund. And, I was like, oh man, I get some money back.
Oh, no.
But people don't. They give you my husband had an I-10, so the government gives these people, undocumented people, an I-10 to go do their taxes.
That's crazy.
So they know they're here.
Yeah.
And they let them file their taxes.
That is
So all these
crazy.
people saying that undocumented people don't work, don't pay taxes, they're lying. That's all lies.
Yeah, and they don't get their Social Security back if they get kicked out. But I got to move it on, Don. Appreciate you coming in.
If I get back in the USA, my husband can get his. Thank you.
Well said. All right. Appreciate it. Looking on the comment section, yeah, that app, my app is in bad shape here. Not everyone is lucky enough to have the freedoms and life we have. Don't need to be so ignorant. Yeah, I do agree. We do have more freedoms than a lot of other places on earth. But there are also places that have more freedoms than we do here in America, too. So understand that when you hear folks suggesting that America is the freest country on earth, that ain't true either. But we are one of the freest. But there are places that have more freedoms on earth than America does. So we're not at the top. We don't have a patent on freedom. There are a lot of places you can go and live a nice life as well. It's not like America's the only country on earth where people can live good. I don't, listen, I'm willing to admit we live in a great country, but I don't want to get so narcissistic that we're talking like nobody is better than us. And a lot of Americans tend to think that way, like freedom, yay, we the only ones that have it. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. You can live a nice, comfortable life in a host of other countries. It also depends too on what is your fancy, for lack of a better term. Some folks focus on different aspects of life more than others. For instance, money in America is a huge concern. A lot of other countries, they take other things more serious. Safety, longevity, health. That stuff means a lot more to other people. Family could be very important. In America, we focus more on money. That's our primary focus is, you know, can I make money? How much money I get? Whereas you go to other countries, it's different. Looking in the comments, Gen Xer, what just happened? You pulled me into the live. Technical difficulty. Yeah, I'm having a lot of technical difficulties on my TikTok device. A lot. So I've been trying to reset it several times. I'm having a lot of difficulties, though. I need to stay in a God-fearing country, period, says Free My Grandma. If you want to stay in a God-fearing country, go to the Middle East. They all fear God. There is no more religious environment, no greater religious environment than the Middle East. That's where you should be. Or go to Israel, which is also in the Middle East. But if you want a strong religious environment, truly a God-fearing environment, go to the Middle East. That's where God is observed with a stronger intent more than anywhere else in the world. This is what I often talk about when we talk about the far left versus the far right. You hear about AOC, Bernie Sanders. You hear about the far left all the time. Even Republicans, MAGA, do not talk about the far right. They exist. Just like the far left progressives, there is a far right in America as well. They don't want to tell you about it because it is similar to the Middle East. In the Middle East, God is in everything. God must always be observed. You don't have religious freedom in the Middle East. That's far right. The Taliban is far right. You're not having an abortion in the Middle East. You're not going to be gay in the Middle East. You're not going to be a woman with stature, respect, a career in the Middle East. That is the far right. You don't hear folks talk about that. But the far right does exist just like the far left does. People just realize, well, shit, if we tell the truth about the far right, they actually look worse than the far left. But they do exist. But if you want to be in a God-fearing country, yeah, go to, everywhere from Saudi Arabia to Yemen, Syria, all of those countries. Hardcore devotion to God. There you go. Looking in the comments, I just came back from St. Vincent. They are God-loving Christians. By the way, if you are in a God-fearing environment, being atheist or being a member of a different religion is generally not accepted. You're about God. That is it. You don't come here talking about Buddha or Jehovah or Allah or anything else. That is what God-fearing is about, not freedom of choice. The Bible itself, religion itself, incredibly judgmental. It's not about freedom of choice. The freedoms we often brag about how free America is, does not work well with God-fearing. Those two are different things, which is why you look at America going back in time. The further back you go in America, the stronger we were in our devotion to religion. And the further back you go during those most devoted times to religion, the less free we were. And I'm not just talking about blacks, Native American, or women. I mean, even in your freedoms of choices, everything about the country was, we're going to do it by the Bible. If you have a problem with that, we have a problem with you. That's what a God-fearing country is like. You do it by the word of your God. Anybody that wants to do differently is ostracized. They're doing it wrong. On Trump's bond, they're saying the bond company does not have the money on hand to cover the bond. Yikes. Roderick Williams. Damn. So what happens? Kind of wonder how long does a judge give Trump to find an alternative bond before they go right back into selling his shit? Wow, that's crazy. Sell your property, Trump. Pay the bond like we all would have to do. I got to get back to the news.
Or unconditional support at any cost.
Yeah, they're not talking about it on the news right now. I got CNN and CNN and Fox News are programmed into my device.
Sirius 114.
I'm just curious.
FT credit card fees cutting into your profit?
Yeah, that's a commercial. Yeah, Fox News is not going to be playing Trump's bond woes too much. CNN and MSNBC will put that shit on a loop and play it all day long. You'll hear about Trump's bond on CNN constantly. They'll be talking about immigrants robbing somebody on Fox. They don't want to talk about that. How do you call in? The show originates from TikTok. Right now, I'm solely on YouTube only. So I'm interfacing with you YouTubers right now, but the show originates on TikTok. The Handsome Liberal on TikTok. There's a spot you click on TikTok, and that's how you get access to me, and we actually talk live. I'm trying to figure out how to do it on YouTube because I'm starting to appreciate my audience on YouTube more because it is growing faster and I'm having less problems interfacing with them than on TikTok. But I got to figure out on YouTube how to make it so that we can have folks come up like that. Because like I said, the audience, we generally get probably 100 to, on a good side, 400 new subscribers a day on YouTube. Used to be that way on TikTok. I don't know what the hell happened on TikTok. Perhaps they're not a big fan of free speech. That's the way we run the program. But it's changed on TikTok. I may get 100 followers on TikTok a day. I'm getting maybe 3 to 4 times that much on YouTube now. So, and I haven't been on YouTube long. I've been on TikTok almost 3 years. We've been doing live on TikTok for almost 3 years. I just started doing a simulcast here on YouTube maybe 3-4 months ago. It ain't been that long. It's been this year. It hasn't been that long, I believe. Maybe last year toward the end. I'd have to look back. All of my lives are on, you can go to the profile, click on live, and every live we do is on there. The reason I moved it over to YouTube was because TikTok was acting shady to begin with. They were, anytime somebody say something, whether it's the N-word or talking about vaccines or literally any LGBT issues that they didn't like on TikTok, they would either censor the person saying it, take down the whole damn live, including yours truly as well, or at the very least, they remove it from history. So all of my past live streams, I may want to go back and hear what somebody said on something, or sometimes I'm driving across the country. Let me listen to this shit. It's entertaining. I couldn't access them because one person during a 2 to 3 hour time period made a controversial statement. So they literally take the entire live. YouTube doesn't do that. YouTube will leave the live stream up. So YouTube became the ideal place because now I can save my live streams eternally without being blocked or banned at the first sign of somebody saying something controversial. I was not a fan of that. Looking in the comments, Tim Scott from Timu. Beautiful. I like it. You obviously don't listen to the program. You're using your eyes and making judgments based on that alone. Fair enough. MAGA cult or democracy? Not hard for this independent voting blue. Okay. Send Sleepy Joe and Hunter to Russia. They would probably be treated a lot worse than Trump. I think Trump and Putin are quite favorable. I believe that if Trump becomes president again, our relationship with Russia would improve substantially because I do believe Trump and Putin they obviously have a history because Trump was a businessman and had business aspects in Russia. I think he was on course to build the largest skyscraper in Russia before becoming president. And I will say this, in regards to Trump becoming president, whether you favor him or not, whether you think he did great things for this country or not, being president has not worked out well for Trump himself. Even if you believe he's done a lot of great things for the country, being president for Trump has not worked out well for him. If Trump had not run for president, I don't think he'd be facing a single charge right now. I'm admitting that a lot of the charges Trump deal with are political. Not saying he's innocent. I'm not going down that path of whether he's innocent or guilty of all 88 charges he's facing. But I do believe had Trump not run for president, most of this stuff would not be happening. Particularly with the Letitia James case of the fraud in New York. My personal opinion is they would have came to him with what they found that he's misrepresented over the years, gave him a number in terms of a fee he must pay or a fine. He would have paid it and it would have been over with. And it would have been significantly less than $335 million. It would have been significantly less than that. Now, that's not to say Trump did not bring some of this stuff on himself. Do I believe it's political? Yeah. But look, let's just be clear, political or not, if you are summoned to court, charged with something, sued in court, whatever, and you go to court and you act like Trump has acted in court to the judges, you're going to get hammered too. There's no way to do what Trump has done in court and walk away with a fair verdict or a fair trial. There's just no way to do it. I mean, you start talking about the judge's family and shit like that. Yeah, they're going to make up shit to get you. There's no other way to do that. I believe if Trump had not run for president and Letitia James or whoever came at him for fraud or whatever, they would have came at him for that amount. Someone like Michael Cohen, who would have still been his lawyer, would have made a deal with them behind the scenes, and it would have probably been $10 million or less he would have had to pay. And that would have been the end of that. He would not have went to court acting like an ass, so Judge Engelron wouldn't have been angry with him. It would have been much simpler. Same thing with Hunter Biden being charged with lying on a gun application to obtain a firearm, even though he has a history of narcotics abuse. If his dad was not president, talking about Joe Biden, I don't think he would have been charged with that at all because he didn't commit any crimes with the gun. He lied on the application. It allowed him to get a gun. He had a gun for a short period of time, I think a few months, and he got rid of it. As a president's son, or let's say he was Jeff Bezos' son or Elon Musk's son or Bill Gates or somebody's son, they'd have made a quick deal with the prosecutor behind the scenes, paid a small fine, and that would have went away. Assuming they even had to pay a fine. That would have been the end of that. So both President Trump and Hunter Biden are being prosecuted for political reasons. In Hunter Biden's case, they're trying to do it to get to his dad. In President Trump's case, they're doing it because they don't like the guy. The guy has a very flamboyant past and current, by the way, the things he said about people. The trial he's about to deal with Alvin Bragg, for instance, the whole paying out Stormy Daniels with campaign funds. The trial ain't even began yet. I think it's supposed to start April 15th or somewhere after that. He is already criticizing the judge's daughter, who has absolutely nothing to do with the case. Nothing. Even if the daughter was an actual Democratic politician, that shouldn't come up. Are you going to suggest that any judge that oversees your case can't have any political opposition in his entire family? Or are you going to discuss it? It should not even be coming up. Yeah, his daughter donates money to the Democrats or works for the Democratic campaign. Who gives a damn? Does that make the judge incapable of being unbiased because he's related to a Democrat or gave birth to one? Shouldn't even come up. So the likelihood of Trump walking out of the Alvin Bragg trial saying that judge treated him unfairly is exceptionally high because he's already treating the judge bad. He's already treating the judge bad. I don't know why he would do that. Looking in the comments, they didn't go after Trump until he decided to run for president. They left him alone after he was out of the White House. They didn't leave him alone, but I do agree with you. They didn't go after Trump until he decided to run for president. But that's not unique to President Trump. Nobody was suggesting that Senator Barack Obama was born in Kenya. That didn't come up until he ran for president. Nobody was suggesting Hillary Clinton was drinking baby's blood until she ran for president. I mean, Hillary Clinton had been on the national scene as first lady to an 8-year president, 2-term president. Nobody was saying she was drinking infinite blood. The minute she ran for president, this shit comes out. That's what happens. That is what happens when you run for president. Your detractors make shit up. Trump has it happen to him, and all of a sudden people are crying foul. When fact is, Trump was actually engaging in that same activity on President Biden. By the way, little known fact, when Kamala Harris was running for president back in 2020, they were starting to say she too was not born in America. The birther movement was kicking off on Kamala Harris. I think Bill O'Reilly and some of them were on YouTube and but Bill O'Reilly was still in Fox, and he basically told Trump, that ain't gonna work on her. You don't do this again. I mean, all of this with Obama not being born in America did not turn out. Don't start this up again. They were about to suggest that Kamala Harris was not born in America as well. They were about to do that again. Harry, start watching real news like America First, OAN Plus. You be kind. You see the bias in CNN, MSNBC, but you look at OAN as real news. You don't see any bias in OAN, but you see it in CNN. Really? Okay. Tell us you lean right without telling us you lean right. Do you have any thoughts on Canadian politics? I'm not, other than I know a lot of folks on the right don't like Trudeau, I'm not a big, I don't know a lot about Canadian politics. And let me just give you my spiel on why a lot of us Americans are ignorant on that. Americans tend to believe that America is at the top of the pyramid. Everybody in the world must follow our lead. Most countries, certainly in the free world, know a lot about what's going on in America. Most Americans don't know shit about what's going on in other countries. Most Americans could barely name a single prime minister or president of any other nation unless we're at war with that nation. The minute when we were at war with Iraq, we knew who Saddam Hussein was. We knew Tony Blair of the UK because Bush was constantly working with him. Most Americans do not know who the Prime Minister of England is anymore. Don't know him. We don't know a lot, and that's one of our closest allies. Two of the closest allies to America are England and Australia. I would submit to you the vast majority of Americans don't know who the leaders of those countries are. Right now, because there's a war going on in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu's all over the television, so people may know the leaders right now, and as I stated, we only tend to know this stuff when we're at war. The leaders right now that everybody knows about, Benjamin Netanyahu, Vladimir Zelensky of the Ukraine, obviously Vladimir Putin of Russia, and that's really about it. Most Americans don't know who leads Mexico. I mentioned Trudeau of Canada. A lot of Americans don't know who the leader of that country is. They don't know. Unless we are at war with a country, we don't pay attention to what's going on in that country. The minute we got out of Afghanistan, when we were there, it was Hamid Karzai was the leader of Afghanistan, and that was somebody that America put in there. Once we left, we don't know. We don't know who leads Afghanistan. We don't know who leads Iraq. We don't know who leads Vietnam anymore, that we've not been over there. Americans are very ignorant to what goes on globally. We really are. And even in our schools, we teach history from an American perspective. Even World War II history, most of that's taught from a U.S. perspective. We don't really give a damn about what was going on in other countries. So it does make for an ignorant citizen. In other countries, like when I went to Australia, they knew about Martin Luther King. They knew about, slavery in America, how the country was founded. Most Americans don't know all that shit about other countries. We don't really care. We think that we're the shit and you should be following us. So it's an eye opener. And I'd say also too, most other folks in these other first world countries travel more than Americans do. Most Americans barely even have a passport. So it's a difference. Looking in the comments, what I can't understand is why would Americans vote not to have free health care? That's an interesting, in my opinion, from what I've heard, is that, and I hate to go down this path because it is a racial aspect of it, but apparently a lot of things we don't favor giving to people used to be available until minorities gained freedom. So now your money got to go to a minority as well. But apparently whether it was going to college, whether it was healthcare, there used to be a lot of support for giving that stuff out. But just like I don't want my money going to abortion, there are people who I don't want my money going to black people. If you believe, perfect example, I had somebody yesterday I was debating with that when I stated not a lot of black women vote for the Republican Party. You got a lot of black men supporting Trump, but not a lot of black women at all. And the person indicated because black women don't support Republicans or Trump because Republicans don't give away free shit, indicating that most black women are sitting at home collecting welfare. Well, if you believe that, if you believe that black women are all sitting on their ass collecting welfare and you got a job, you don't want your tax money going to that. You don't want to give that free health care. So that is a reason when you ask, well, why would people vote against health care? They believe people who are getting it are just scamming the system. And most of those people doing it are blacks and brown people. People do believe that. Like I said, I had somebody tell me that. That was yesterday I had that conversation where a white woman told me that most black women don't vote Republicans. They're sitting there on collecting welfare, and they know the Republican Party is not in favor of giving people free shit. That was told to me yesterday. So, yeah, I would tell you right off the bat that in regards to your question, why do a lot of folks vote against free healthcare in this country, meaning, well, it's in your own best interest. Why would you vote against giving other Americans healthcare? Because they believe you're giving it to a bunch of people who are essentially scamming the system, and they're mainly black and brown people. As I stated, I believe there's a fair bit of evidence to show that before, let's say, the civil rights era, before, everyone was treated as equal, there was a much bigger desire to help everybody out. Whether it was college was affordable, all of that. But all of a sudden, once you had these new folks getting civil rights and joining, I don't want my money going to them, so it all of a sudden became unpopular. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've heard that from numerous programs, books. I've heard that a lot. Looking in the comments. I believe the loss of the nuclear family and have pushed for government assistance is why people do not like welfare. It's meant to help people who are truly unable to work, or a temporary relief. Well, the loss of the nuclear family, a lot of that was because of welfare. Remember, you can't get welfare if the dad is living in the house. So it gave some people, listen, if we broke and dad is not working either, but I can actually get some assistance if dad moves out, then, if he's not in a position to contribute, maybe he should move out right now. So the separation of the nuclear family, that didn't happen, organically. That some would suggest that even that was done with a little bit of intention behind it. For instance, the draconian, what were they calling it? War on drugs. The draconian laws surrounding the war on drugs. That did a hell of a lot to destroy the nuclear family. Them long-ass sentences for small amounts of drugs, making it so that the dad and the child are not going to be reunited again for the rest of that kid's childhood. And we're talking even marijuana. I know nowadays the sentiment on marijuana has changed substantially, but there is a lot of 80s and 90s fathers that spent the ridiculous amount of time in prison because of marijuana. So the system itself has a lot to do with the breakup of the nuclear family because of those laws, particularly in communities of color. So I agree that the nuclear family is important, but in our country, we've done a lot to break up the nuclear family. I would submit to you also capitalism itself, which is what we prefer in this country, is not good for the nuclear family. Remember back in the day, it was not a 24-hour society. You couldn't buy a TV at 2 a.m. because some department store is still open. You couldn't get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and go buy a steak because some restaurant is still open. When we were children, things closed at a decent hour. Sundays was reserved for time with the family. Everything was not open like that, like it is now. Or if you went to the mall, it closed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was plenty of time to spend with your family. But capitalism, in search of the almighty dollar, has turned us into a 24-hour society because everybody want to make money around the clock. And well, if I have a store and I want to be open 24 hours to make money, that means my employees got to be here too. Meaning they can't spend time with their families. So far more Americans now work all hours of the day. Weekends too. People work Monday through Friday, business hours. 60s, 1970s. Now everybody is damn near working at least one weekend day. This is the time when the kids out of school where you could be bonding with the kids and the wife. Not to mention the wife is working too, often a different shift. So you guys are not even around each other anymore. Capitalism has done probably more to destroy the nuclear family than anything else. Everybody's pursuing money and putting everything else on the back burner. That's really the way this country is ran. Now, bring it up again when I lived overseas. When I was in Australia, they had it the way it used to be here. It's kind of like going back in time. Nothing is open on Sundays. When you're in Australia, almost every damn thing is closed on Sunday. And I lived in the third largest city in that country, had over 1 million people in that city, Brisbane, big ass city. And nothing really operated on a 24-hour schedule. I think you could get gas and 7-Elevens would be open in the middle of the night. But there was not like restaurants where you could go get a steak. You couldn't go somewhere to a department store and buy a television. All that shit didn't exist. Like a Walmart that you can go. I think Walmart in some places are starting to backtrack on a 24-hour schedule, but there's a lot of places in America that sell clothes, electronics, and all this shit that is open 24 hours. Nowhere was like that in Australia. Here in America, remember we used to have the Black Friday holiday right after Thanksgiving? You could go out, enjoy the really cheap sales, but Thanksgiving was for spending with your family. They are now moving Black Friday into the Thanksgiving holiday. So now people are leaving the Thanksgiving table and going right out to go shopping. That's time you used to spend with your family. Because for you to go shopping on Thanksgiving evening means somebody is forced to work that day. That's what's happening now. That breaks up the family structure. People being forced to work all over the damn place. That didn't used to happen. You know, back in the day, the police station, fire, a hospital, those were the only places that really were open 24 hours. Now everything is. So you're not going to have the nuclear family intact when everybody got to work a Saturday or Sunday. It's hard for a lot of people to find a gig that allows you to work first shift Monday through Friday. If you work first shift Monday through Friday, you can generally be home when the kids get home, spend time with your wife, go to sleep on a normal schedule. Most Americans don't work that anymore. Most Americans do not work that anymore. They're working everywhere. Some folks get rotating, or better yet, rotating days off. I'm off Tuesday and Monday and Friday this week. Next week I'm off Wednesday. It's really messed up. It didn't used to be like that. It did not used to be like that. You can't maintain a nuclear family with shit like that going on. But as I say all the time in the program, we are really money oriented, and we put money above everything else. So when it comes down to the question, is America the most free country on earth? I do believe in one area we are, and that is you can be born poor and climb the socioeconomic ladder better in America than anywhere else. Starting from the bottom, now I'm here. You can certainly become wealthy even being born with nothing in America, probably easier than most places. But you can also get shot here. Your life expectancy is shorter. The food you eat is worse. The crime you deal with is significantly worse in this country. The index happiness is not even in the top 10. But you can make money. That's what we focus on. So there it is. You may send your child to school and they may not come home. You may go to the mall and may get shot while you're there. May even happen in church. That's not happening in most of the free world. They don't know what it is like to hear that some kid went to school and got shot there. They're not doing that in the overwhelming majority of the free world. That's something that is almost uniquely American, or something that would be happening in third world and developing countries. And if you notice, when people brag about how great it is here in America, notice the countries they're actually comparing us to. You couldn't do this in China. They don't get this freedom in North Korea. Why can't you compare us to Germany, Australia, New Zealand? Why do you got to pick third world developing countries to make the comparison work? There are a host of first world countries on the planet. Why do you got to keep picking these countries that are way down on the scale just to make this make sense? That's the point. Now, in the comments, Duck Boom says Germany isn't free. As I stated, it depends on what you consider as free. Some folks in this country, if I don't have to wear a mask and I can walk down the street with an AK on my back, I'm free. All right, fair enough. But some other country, somebody may say, I can marry a same-sex individual dozens of years before you could in America, or interracial marriage. I could smoke a joint out in public. You can't do that here in America. Most places so it depends on what your definition of freedom is. Maybe I want to get laid. I can go hire a prostitute. That's legal in a hell of a lot of first world countries. Not legal in America. So it depends on what your definition of freedom is, what you're focusing on. There's a lot of rights that people have in other countries that you do not have here. They just may be rights you don't concern yourself with. So it really depends on what your definition of freedoms are. No comments from North Korea. This is no longer the greatest country in the world by far. I'd rather live in Germany. I've been there 5 years ago. It was amazing. There's a lot of American expats going other places because they think it's better. I definitely believe what does it say, Filafel in the comments or whatever that name says. I definitely believe Australia is a better country than America. That's my own personal stance, though. You cannot own an AK-47 with a 100-round drum in Australia, though. So for folks who want to own that, then Australia's not the place to be. But I thought Australia was certainly a better, freer, safer country than America. Is this YouTube? Yes, it is. Basic human rights, the ones we're boom with, most countries don't recognize them. We were born with. Most countries don't recognize the basic human rights we are born with. And there's a lot of validity to that, but I'd have to really get into detail on which ones you're talking about. Ukraine is the best country. It's a war zone. What do you mean, Ukraine? It's currently a war zone. Well, tried to come in and talk on TikTok. Didn't work. Yeah, TikTok is giving me problems, so that's why I ended up, in fact, is it still going on? My device locked up so many times, I kind of gave up on TikTok. I don't know what was going on. Yeah, because all of our dollars are going there, says Bill. No, all of our dollars are not going to Ukraine. I can tell you that. I can tell you that right off the bat. Australia was a prison at one time. Yeah, that's true. But in my opinion, for people who look like me, so was America. I wasn't free here either. Australia started out as a penal colony. Folks would get banished from England to Australia for whatever reason. You called the king a name, you didn't do something right, they send you to Australia, a penal colony. What's the difference between a black person coming to America by ship? It's a penal colony. You're not free here either. So for a large portion of our constituents here, particularly black people, America's a penal colony as well. There's no freedom here for blacks. For the first, 1776 till 1868? Almost the first 100 years. America was a penal colony as well for blacks. And it wasn't that great for women, even the white ones. So it applies both ways. A lot of things we point out about other countries showing their flaws or how they were fundamentally immoral in the beginning, it applies to America. We just don't admit it. For instance, we often talk about how awful the German people were during the 1930s and 40s. Talk about Nazi Germany, how awful that was, how bad they treated the Jewish people. But we paint the Confederate South in a totally different light, even though they were doing exactly the same shit. Minus the gas chambers, but they were still murdering people at will, raping them, doing it. I mean, there is virtually little to no difference between Nazi Germany and the Confederate South during that time. There's nothing that Hitler could have done during the 10, 15 years or so of oppression in Germany that the Confederates could not have done during the 200 years or so of oppression in America. They could do the same thing. It's all the same shit. If a German just walked down and shot a Jewish person, there was no punishment for that. If a white person shot a black person, there's no punishment for that. If a German person just grabbed a Jewish individual and sexually assaulted them, okay, it just happened. There's no relief for the Jewish person. Same could happen to a black person. No relief at all. The courts are not going to help you. The police are not going to do anything for you at all. There is very little difference. But in America, we view Nazi Germany as bad and the Confederate South in a much, much different light. And by the way, as I pointed out, what the Third Reich, what the Germans were doing to the Jewish people, early 30s, it was over what, late 40s, 10, 15 years max. In America, what the Confederates was doing went on for a couple centuries. And yeah, so I don't, like I said, we have a history of a lot of the same things that other countries do. We just paint ours in a better light. Now, Kevin O'Leary, the Irish person you pointed out, this often comes up, the Irish slaves. Here's my take on it. None of the history books in America up till probably damn near the 1980s, some 200 years after this country was founded, until the 1980s, virtually none of the history books in this country were written by blacks, Native Americans, or Hispanics. It was most of the history books, even when I went to school, all of the producers and the authors of most history books were white. In regards to the Irish slaves, why isn't that in the history books? If that is so valid and whites control the teaching of history, you're going to tell me white people chose to write about the black folks and ignore other white people? That doesn't make sense to me. Something is wrong with that. Why isn't the Irish slaves written into our history books? If it's a true part of American history, why isn't it there? And regardless of what reason you give, then it would lead to the obvious follow-up. The history was not taught accurately. If the Irish were enslaved in this country and it was not taught to the American children, something's wrong with that. Now, in the comments, Kevin says it is. No, it's not. No, it's not taught like African American slavery. Give me the name of some slaves that escaped like Harriet Tubman. I don't hear about it. Give me some laws that were passed directed at the Irish slaves. I don't hear about it. Not one of them gets any national recognition. Why is that? Now, it was taught to you, Kevin, but most Americans say otherwise. I mean, no movies made about it, no specific books about Irish slaves escaping, nothing. There's nothing out there like that. Why is that? Just completely writ out of history. But you say it happened. Now, my personal experience is that Irish were not slaves. They were indentured servants. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. Whereas if you were African American, you were born a slave and you were expected to die as such. There was a period of time in which, as an Irish, you would be free. They were not lynching them. They were not hanging them, chopping off their feet, sending parties to capture runaway Irish. None of that happened. Otherwise, it would be in the history books. The fact is, it's not there, which leads to where are the teams of police on horseback that went tracking down Irish that ran free? Or better yet, we know in the North, they offered freedom to the African-American slaves that came from the South. All of that's documented. Why is the Irish completely written out of history? It doesn't make any sense. I want to, and I will also say this. I view the Irish slaves as a counter statement. A lot of you are going to disagree with this, and that's fine. You know, I don't block, ban, or censor. But I view the Irish slaves as a counter statement. You know what I mean when I say counter statement? Black lives matter. All lives matter. What about black slaves? What about the Irish slaves? When I say counter statement, I mean you wouldn't be talking about this if the other statement did not precede it. You don't hear anyone talking about Irish slaves without African-American slaves being discussed first. It only comes up in conversations that talk about black slaves. You'll never hear about Irish slaves. If you don't talk about Black Lives Matter, you'll never hear anybody yell All Lives Matter. It's a counter statement. That's the only purpose of it. That's something that I never could understand. Why don't you think an argument deserves a rebuttal? I always appreciate a rebuttal. But the Irish slave is something I'm concerned with. Why in history? Why isn't it? What was Proclamation Day? Joe Biden just created the holiday Juneteenth. But the day African American slaves were freed has been known for decades. What day was the Irish slaves freed? Why isn't that part of history? Why is there so much that is unknown if this happened? As I stated earlier, it's not like blacks were writing the history books. Why don't the Irish honor their own slavery? Why don't they talk about perhaps slaves during that time that freed a bunch of people, done something for folks? The Irish don't even actually cherish their own history. They would rather get drunk on St. Patrick's Day than talk about slavery? Something don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Tim is as solid as one can get, right on handsome. Thank you, alter ego. I mean, to me, it's a legitimate question to make. If the Irish were enslaved, they just decided, we're not going to talk about our own history anymore. We're not even going to bring it up. Who does that? I don't care how dark your history is. If it's your history, somebody's going to acknowledge it. Not one slave of Irish descent gets any recognition, no holidays, no mention of it at all. That doesn't make sense. Any argument that Matt G is suggesting because they don't want to play victim, that's insane. That's insane. So should the Jewish stop talking about what the Holocaust did to them because they don't want to play victim? That makes no sense at all. They don't want to play victim, so they're going to omit a huge part of their own heritage and history simply to not play victim. Why the hell would you do that? That makes no... Why do you have to play victim? Just tell history as it happened. I mean, that's it. You don't have to play victim to discuss history. Makes no sense. I guess if the Irish were slaves, Tim would keep him as slaves. I don't quite get that one. I think the issue is how history played out. Things like the 3/5 continued the racism. Slavery was easier to end than racism. I don't disagree that African American history is going to get more attention because of the sheer length of time of it compared to the Irish, as some would say. I do believe America has been hard on all immigrants coming in this country. We have never had a friendly mindset towards immigrants. Chinese, Irish, Polish, Jewish after World War II. We didn't want them here. We have never been in an immigrant-friendly country. Even right now, we're helping the Ukraine. We're not taking many of them in, though. We are not an immigrant-friendly country. We did what we did as immigrants to the Native Americans. And knowing our own history, we felt after what we did, we don't trust anybody. They may do the same to us. As it stands, the original American colonists are the worst immigrants to ever come to this country. And since that point, we portrayed everybody else as dangerous. We are not an immigrant-friendly country. We never have been. Looking and every group of immigrants that has come here can tell you that. They were allowed to come in, but damn it, they face bigotry, racism, and I'm talking all groups. I'm not talking black, so I'm talking Polish, I'm talking Chinese, all of them, Japanese, they all faced a hell of a lot of bigotry and intolerance. We are not an immigrant-friendly country. Damn what's on the Statue of Liberty. We're not very immigrant-friendly. Bro, what are you talking about? We talking about immigrants. Let's compare Jesse Lee Peterson to this guy. Might as well compare a block of cheese to gourmet. But yeah, I do have to ask that question, though. Why is it the Irish slaves only come up? A discussion about Irish slaves only comes up when somebody is talking about black slavery. You don't ever run into a conversation about Irish slaves on its own. It only comes up as a counter statement to, well, blacks weren't the only ones enslaved. Why not discuss it on its own merit? I mean, like, really, why? You look on TikTok, there are plenty of blacks talking about slavery on YouTube and things like that. And you don't see a lot about the Irish slaves. The idea that the Irish decided to completely silence and erase their own history because they didn't want to play victim, to me, that's asinine. That's stupid. If it's part of your history, it's part of your history. If telling history accurately makes you look like a victim, then damn it, maybe you were a victim. There's no reward to hiding what happened to you so that somebody else doesn't think you're playing. I mean, okay, there's no reward to hiding or erasing history, period. So why would you do that? That's stupid. When you look at folks suggesting they take down Confederate statues, They want their history told. Now the Confederates weren't victims, they were victimizers. Why would you not want the other side of it to be told? That makes no sense to me. Although if you read Robinson Crusoe, you find out he was a slave on the Barbary Coast. And I will tell you this also, like I stated earlier, the Irish were indentured servants. They were not slaves. And the way they were treated was significantly different. Irish were quickly able to become police officers, have union jobs in the New England area. I mean, they were treated rather nicely, much quicker than African Americans. I mean, the indentured servant history of the Irish in America is true. That happened. But that's not slavery. In America, with blacks, for instance, a black female slave could be forced to pair up with another black slave to make more slaves, kind of like you do with a pit bull if you want to breed them. They were doing that with they weren't doing that with the Irish. You don't hear Irish talking about, or better yet, the slave owner had a 15, 16-year-old slave in the field and, due to picking cotton all day and doing physical labor, the 15-year-old was shapely, in shape. Master could call her in the house and have his way with her. The Irish, that wasn't happening to the Irish. If a slave escaped, ran up north, they come chase him down on horseback, maybe injure him, potentially kill him to teach the other slaves a lesson about escaping. That wasn't happening to the Irish. It's really the bondage experience in America for African Americans compared to Irish. It's like night and day. There's a reason why the Irish ain't telling you about all of this stuff, because it wasn't happening. It's like literally night and day. I mean, there's tons of movies and books devoted to what happened to African Americans. If that happened to Irish, they would be writing books about it. You're not going to convince an entire group of people in unison to hide their own history because it doesn't make them look like victims. You may have a few of them do that, but the whole group of people decided we're not going to tell our history because that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. If this stuff was happening to the Irish the same way it was happening to African Americans, the Irish would be talking about it. They would be commemorating it. They would be telling you about it over and over again. They wouldn't be hiding it. That's insane. I like your opinion. Do you think this topic gets hot because slavery was for all, but racist slavery was targeted? Human slaves versus subhuman. I don't quite get that comment, Stefan. Do you think this topic gets hot because... No, the topic gets hot, in my opinion, because it has two sides. It has victims and it has victimizers. And both sides have descendants. The victims of slavery have people that have descended from them, and the victimizers have descendants, people that have descended from them. And there are people that don't want to be reminded of what they may be connected to. Doesn't mean that they're guilty of it at all. It's a good example. Let's take someone like John Wayne Gacy, serial killer, pedophile, abused children. If you were related to John Wayne Gacy, would you want that to get out? Would you want people to know that you were a descendant of John Wayne Gacy or somebody like? No, you'd want to hide it because you would feel that being related to him somehow shames you, but it doesn't. You ain't got nothing to do with what that guy did. But that is the way history has been taught in America, is that the folks who were descendants of the victimizers don't want it to really be discussed. And from day one, the whole goal was to keep it on the hush, to keep it quiet. And what has happened, and what does it say in the comments? Now you're comparing the Irish to a murderer. Now I'm comparing the person who was enslaving them to a murderer. If the Irish were slaves, just like the African Americans were, then a bunch of them got murdered. It's a simple fact. We as human beings have the desire to be free in us from birth. The only way you're going to keep a human in bondage is by threat of violence. That's the only way you're going to do it. Nobody wants to be enslaved If you're not threatening to be violent to them, they're going to try to escape. So if the Irish were slaves, then yeah, there was people killing them too. And the idea that you don't hear about it speaks volumes. That should tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, nobody is going to voluntarily remain in slavery. Slaves are treated awful. They're treated awful. So no. And in the comments, Lego asking me to say hi to you. There you go. I said hi to you. Keep your word. All right, moving the program on. Look at it here. Trump for prison 2024. I don't think that's going to happen. Black people act like victims and cry about slavery and use that as an excuse on why they're dumb and poor. You believe black people are dumb and poor. No, that's not racist at all. Not at all. I'm sure you got a lot of black friends you love, all of the dumb and poor ones. Wow. Looking in the comments, the past is in the past. Why do people play the which race was more persecuted in history game? Well, here's one of the issues I often have about the past is in the past. The past for African Americans is pretty bad. There's no denying that. But the past for everybody else, a lot of people, not everybody else, but a lot of folks, past is not as dark. They discuss their past. Why is it always a problem when African Americans discuss their past? Why is that uniquely an issue? If waving a Confederate flag around, for instance, or honoring a Confederate statue is okay, for instance, you do realize slavery was happening at the same time. So you can wave the flag, but he should not continue discussing his history, even though those events were taking place simultaneously. Explain that. I don't get it. If we're going to get over the past, then the flag should go away too. They were happening at the exact same time. It really becomes a case of, I don't mind discussing the past. Just don't discuss the part that makes me feel uncomfortable. That's what it's all about. These things are happening simultaneously. If we stop talking about slavery, what about the guys who own slaves? You can't talk about slavery, but you can talk about the founding fathers when they had them all in their house. Get over the slave. You're literally picking and choosing what parts of history you want to omit. You look at Mount Rushmore, the four faces that's on there, most of them dudes own slaves. How do you get over the past while honoring the people from the same era? That makes no sense at all. Come, like I stated before, just come on and be honest. I would rather darker parts of our history be removed from it, so that we do come across as a great country. And I totally understand that point, because we do go around criticizing other nations for how bad they treat other people and their flaws, while bragging at how free and how great we are. If you can omit the negative histories of America, it makes your case stronger. But if you got to tell the truth, then all of a sudden some of these other countries that you're criticizing will step up and ask the obvious question. How the hell can you tell me what I'm doing today when you was doing the same shit yesterday? To some degree, America kind of comes across as your friend who used to hang out with you at the club, hang out with you when you were out hitting capers and doing bad things, and they suddenly found Jesus, and now they're coming to you and criticizing you for how you live your life. Like, dude, you were just in the club with me last week. You was doing that too. But now you're saved and you want to tell me how to live my... That's kind of how America is. Because our past is as dark as all the countries we criticize. People just don't like to hear it. So it is what it is. You the reason black people like us keep using "we were slaves back in the day." My N-word, I don't want to call it on the count, but my N-word, you weren't a slave, your great-great-great-grandparents were. So if Jews use the logic we use as victims, they wouldn't. Here's what I don't get. Why does telling history accurately make you somehow pull the victim card? I don't get it. I mean, anybody who's victimized, as to prevent from looking like a victim, they should not tell about whatever happened to them again. The folks who perished on 9/11, September 11, any of their family members who had to live through PTSD, loss of a parent, loss of a relative, should not discuss it because they come across like they're trying to be victims. We would never tell that to them. I don't understand why only when it comes to particularly the African American experience, folks suggest they should be quiet because they're playing victims. Now, one of my viewers earlier mentioned the Irish slaves. Nobody told him you shouldn't bring that up. Anytime the Irish slaves come up, I don't hear anybody ever suggest, well, y'all shouldn't talk about that. You weren't an Irish slave. Why are you bringing it up? How many gun owners will tell you they will proudly carry a firearm because they don't want to risk tyranny? When was America a tyrannical nation? Why can't they why are they bringing up history? I mean, how do we pick and choose what part of history should be discussed? Are we judgmental on history itself? If the event took place, you should be able to discuss it, no matter what happened. You're literally, this is a perfect description of trying to rewrite history. You're literally trying to take out parts of history that you don't like. Okay, you're black. Yeah, your great-great-great-great-grandmother was enslaved, but you weren't, so you shouldn't talk about it. Then go take down Mount Rushmore, because that is something that isn't relevant to today either. What's the purpose of having history class? I don't understand that at all. You're trying to literally write out parts of American history. No sense. Makes no sense at all. Other than what I stated earlier. Some folks don't want to admit that this is in my ancestry. Just like I used the John Wayne Gacy serial pedophile example. You wouldn't want to admit or tell somebody you were related to somebody like John Wayne Gacy. You would try to omit it out of your history. Don't even talk about that. That's how we view slavery in this country. Certain people, I don't even want to admit I was related to that. So let's just not talk about it. It happened. It actually happened. Why not discuss history? It doesn't make you, someone playing victim to talk about history. Looking in the comments, because the Irish don't talk about it like black people talk about it like. Now, Ray Wilson says, because the Irish people don't talk about it like black people talk about it, and black people use it as an excuse, does the Irish have an Irish history month? Well, one of the big differences, I mean, there's a lot of them, as I mentioned earlier. First of all, what time period were the Irish enslaved in America? Now compare that to the time period African Americans were enslaved in America. And keep in mind, after you cover the time period African Americans were enslaved in America, now you got to cover Jim Crow. So we're talking the Irish slaves, or the Irish indentured servants, which is more of an accurate term. There's not generation upon generation upon generation of indentured Irish slaves, or whatever you want to call it. You're not going to find an Irish that can show a long family tree of enslavement in America. That didn't happen. It happened with African Americans. The experience is different. That's why it's discussed differently. The experience of African slavery in this country is multiples of the experience of anything the Irish went through. You want to talk about an event that took place for 400 years with the same mentality as something that may have taken place for 10, 15 years? It's a big difference. Big difference. The Japs left concentration camps and immediately started shining. They were also given reparations. You didn't mention that part. The Japanese left internment camps and they started shining. They were also given reparations. You didn't mention that. 3,000 African-American slave owners, what about them? What about them? They're wrong. I don't know if 3,000 You believe 3,000 African Americans owned slaves? Where'd you get that from? But I'm not giving them a pass. Once again, I'll say this again. I said it before. Up till around 1970, all of the history books were written by someone other than a minority. All of them were. Even when I started going to school in the early 70s, late 80s, or early 70s to early 80s, all of the history books produced, they weren't written by black people. So when you talk about African-American slave owners and all of that stuff, why don't we know about it? Somebody was clearly trying to tell history inaccurately. Same thing about the Irish slaves. Most American students don't learn about that in school. They didn't learn about it back then. The Irish weren't writing history books. So the people that taught us history was deliberately omitting and trying to lie about it. There's no denying that all these folks are talking about the Irish slaves, and most of them were not taught this stuff in schools. So they clearly were deliberately lying about history. Hear up if you're smart. I don't quite get that. You're talking about 30 million versus 30,000. That point I don't get either. 30 million what versus 30,000 what? People don't even realize slavery was going on way before the white man even came to America, and America was the first land to abolish slavery. That is true. That is true, but I don't know what relevance that has when you talk about, here's a good example. When you're talking about a subject, particularly slavery, why do people zoom out? If we talk about what happened on 9/11, flying planes into our, symbols of American prosperity, taking down the World Trade Center, people don't respond with, well, yeah, they bombed some stuff over in Egypt too. No, you focus on the conversation at hand. You don't zoom out to the fact that terrorist activities take place all over the world. We don't do that on 9/11. We stick to the subject. But for some reason, when you bring up slavery, well, there were people enslaved in Egypt as well. Why are you zooming out? Why are you zooming out to other aspects of slavery that are irrelevant to the conversation? You would never be able to talk about what happened on 9/11 if you zoomed out to all acts of terrorism around the world. Why do you do it when it comes to slavery? I don't understand that. Tell me you want me to shut the hell up without telling me you want to shut the hell up. Let's talk about this or over here. Nobody's talking about Middle Eastern slavery. Why is that coming up? I don't understand that. Why are we zooming out to all white people though? We're not. We're talking about Irish were slaves too. I'm assuming some blacks owned Irish. I mean, we're not zooming out. What is it? Fact check. England wasn't the first to abolish slavery. What is the fact that America was one of the first countries to abolish slavery? We're not comparing America to other countries right now. So why is it coming up? I don't get it. I mean, I really don't get it. Only 5% of the population had slaves. I think it was only 1%. But let's go with that. Robert Dock, only 5% of the population owned slaves. You can't punish 100% of the population for what 5% did, and all of those people are long dead. No one alive had slaves, so we aren't going to pay people who did. Well, I don't think that really matters, Robert. When you say that, look, slavery, the people are dead, nobody deserves reparations. It's not like if the people were alive, we'd be in favor of giving them reparations either. It's easier to use that as an excuse now that they're dead. And the example is the Tulsa Wall Street race riots. What happened in Tulsa, 2 of those people are alive right now. 109 years old. They are suing for reparations. They are alive. And people are like, fuck that. It happened a long time ago. So I get your point. Nobody from slavery is alive, but I don't really think that would make a difference. I really don't. If somebody was brought to life and they were a victim of slavery, we would still come up with a reason why we didn't even want to create a holiday to designate when slavery ended. You know how many people on Juneteenth? I did a live show on Juneteenth. You know how many people on Juneteenth had a problem with that holiday, even though they get to take it off too? So, no, I agree with you that no one from slavery is alive today. No disagreement. But I don't think it would matter. I mean, the reason that we really didn't make a big fuss over when slavery ended is because we didn't want it to end. So the idea of getting reparations for people who were alive, it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. How can you read the comments and say we are not a racist country? That's a tough question. I don't think America is racist. I believe there are racists in America. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. If you're African American in this country, you can have a pretty free life. I don't think, listen, I'm black. I go in areas that are 100% white. I don't have any problems with it. I don't think that as a black person, racism is holding you back in America. Not like it would have for my mom, for instance. My mom, 1948, born in 48 in Memphis, Tennessee. She was born without civil rights. I am the first in my family tree to be born with civil rights. So let's get it clear. This stuff is not hundreds of years ago. I'm the first person in my family tree to have civil rights from birth. But I don't believe that being black in America now, your race prevents you from prospering. There may be a few ceilings here or there that you could bump into, but those ceilings are pretty damn high up. If you just want to have a house, a nice car, live the American dream, being black, there's nothing really stopping you from doing that. Now, if you want to be senator, maybe you want to climb way up there. You want to own a sports team. Yeah, you may start seeing some problems, but that's going to be well under 1% of black people. So I don't believe racism prevents you from having a decent life in America. So with that being said, I don't think America is a racist country. But there is some racism in America, but that's going to be anywhere, not to really zoom out here, but anywhere you have diversity, you're going to have racism. You can have two people on earth, they're not going to agree with everything. I mean, so it's going to happen. I got to fly to get a place a white man can walk to, says Chris Rock. He did say that. But Chris Rock is also a multi-millionaire. He ain't doing bad. Chris Rock is also a multi-millionaire. Talking about racism. We can only vote from the last 55 years, and they still are trying to take our vote away. Now, 55 years ago, America was a very racist country. So that's the if you want to be senator, your name better be Tim or Cory, no pun intended. Cory Booker or Tim Scott, huh? I met Cory Booker. I got pictures with Cory Booker. I don't want pictures with Tim Scott. The Democrats, I would take a picture with Tim Scott. Let me backtrack. I would take a picture with any sitting senator. The Democrats try to put racism in everything so people fight. I don't totally disagree with that. I don't totally disagree with that because it is a divisive term, and there are probably far more Americans that believe the Republican Party has racism in it. So if you start yelling racism, it is a way to demonize the Republican Party. So I don't totally disagree with your statement, Josie, but I will say what I always say. Democrats always cry racism. Republicans always cry socialism. Same thing. Republicans try to put socialism in every damn thing. Make it up on people. Any little thing you talk about it. Well, that's socialism. So I do agree with you. Democrats push racism. Republicans push socialism. Neither one is good. And as you stated, they're both very divisive. Independent voting blew down the ticket. No way I would be a part of the cult, says Rob Canfield. So you're voting blue all the way down. By the way, speaking of people voting blue all the way down, in Florida, it looks like abortion is going to be on the ballot. That's going to lead to people like Rob Canfield voting blue all the way down. These women that show up, that are showing up to voice their opposition to pro-life laws, while they're there, they're going to vote for all the blue shit on the ticket. Because all the folks on the right are leading them to believe they all want to take away abortion rights. And they're going way further than that. I mean, look, if you believe in protecting the life of the unborn, you know, there's an argument to be made there, but they're going way beyond it. They're forcing women to have children that are not even viable, even if it's at risk of themselves. I mean, this is what I talked about earlier, mentioned far left versus far right. The Republicans probably went a bit too far to the right on abortion. Even President Trump is complaining about that. That is not going to go well. That's not going to go well. So most of the states are trying to have any election regarding abortion, put that shit somewhere else away from the national election. Because anybody that show up to vote pro-choice is also going to vote for every damn liberal on the ticket. So they're trying to make it so that abortion rights is not on the ballot. So as Rob Canfield said, I'm going to vote blue all down the ticket. People are going to do that. He's right. People are going to do that. We need some more green people in here. Need more green people in the country. You're the reason America's taking a shit, says Outlaw Josie Wells. I like your name, Outlaw. You respond a lot. Appreciate is the word I'm looking for. I always appreciate your participation. You obviously lean right. We have a difference of opinion on topics. Fine. You know, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. I appreciate your participation. Even if it's to tell me I'm the reason America's taking the shit. Handmaid's Tale in real life, says Monica Green. Folks are saying that. Stefan, you will be in a welfare state once socialism hits. Figure it out, honey. Yikes. I think I'm in the right place, baby. Shout out to Ray Charles. You got the right one, baby. Daniel Garrett. By the way, folks, while we're on here this first time I've ever done a YouTube only live. I'm used to taking callers on TikTok. So 1 p.m. Central is when I'm normally here. You'll hear the callers come in 1 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday. Feel free to drop a subscription if you do favor this type of dialogue from both sides of the aisle without anybody being blocked, banned, or censored. Now, right now on TikTok, I'm not taking callers because I can't do it here. But when I do, you folks who do watch regularly, you would understand I do allow everyone to speak. Left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Even if they're incredibly critical of me, I do entertain all comments. If you don't know if you are for, if you don't know if you are for me or Trump, then you ain't black, says Britt Bradley. You know, Biden has taken flack for that comment ever since he made it. Vote for me or you ain't black. And some have suggested that shows Biden is racist for making that statement. Here's the issue on that, though. There's two issues on it. First of all, the overwhelming majority of folks suggesting that and I'll get to your comment, Big Rooster Show, in a second here. The overwhelming majority of folks suggesting that vote for me or you ain't black is a racist statement. They're not black themselves. That's a problem. Because I say all the time, if something is racist, the first person that's going to recognize it is the person that is being victimized by it. Fact is, whether you agree or disagree, and you're entitled to do either, the overwhelming majority of black folks believe Trump is more racist than Biden. So, and they could be wrong. They could be wrong, but I'm just saying the overwhelming majority of African Americans believe that Trump is more racist than Biden. Now, vote for me, you ain't black was chastised and hammered pretty hard coming from Biden. Now, he did apologize for that numerous times. Trump recently said, and we did a show on it a couple weeks ago, if you are Jewish and you vote Democrat, you hate Israel. You hate your religion. That is essentially the same thing as vote for me or you ain't Jewish. He didn't get chastised the same way. But it's the same thing. If you're Jewish and you vote Democrat, you hate your religion. That's a quote. That's what he said. You could easily look it up because I see in the comments, Biden sniffed me saying it's not true. He did say it. Look it up. You don't have to take my word for it. Bring it back. If you can show where I'm wrong, I'll even come back on and concede the point to you. I'm certain he said it because we ended up having a live stream on it. In the comments, Kevin O'Leary says, out of context, if you don't vote for me, you don't care about Israel. What context was that meant to be in? Because whatever answer you give, I could probably apply it to vote for me or you ain't black. If you're Israel and you vote Democrat, it means you hate your country, you hate your religion. Give me the context of that. Because I'm certain I could apply the same thing to vote for me or you ain't black. At the end of the day, it's a pretty bad statement to make. But yeah, in regards to trying to convince African Americans that Trump loves black people and Biden is racist, I think it's a difficult hill to climb. Certainly, you saw me conversating earlier with the guy about the Confederate flag and things like all of that shows up. I went to Trump rallies. All of that's there. I mean, you look at a Biden gathering, the few that they have, the few people that are there, it literally looks like the rainbow. Blacks, whites, Muslim, gays, you name it. They're all there at a Biden gathering. You go to a Trump gathering, the actual side that really loves black people, as opposed to all of that multicultural racist group in the Biden, it doesn't fit your actual eyes. You ever had somebody tell you something and you're looking right at it and you're like, no way. No way. Kind of like Biden suggesting there was no problem at the border a couple years ago. Kamala didn't want to go down there. You're like, that can't be true. I'm looking at all these folks coming across. That's how a lot of minorities view Trump, suggesting that Biden is racist and Trump loves black people. And then you look at their gatherings, you look at their administration, you look at the Biden administration, his own speaker is black. I mean, he's appointed a black Supreme Court justice. His vice president's black. He used to serve under the first black president. That's the racist dude. And then when you look at the guy who loves black people, we're talking about President Trump, that diversity just disappears. The point I'm making is it doesn't make sense. You know, it's one of those don't believe your lying eyes type thing. It just doesn't make sense. Even if it's true, even if Biden is the racist and Trump is the guy that loves black people, it would make no sense. You know how many racists you know that give black people high-level jobs, work under black people? How many racists you know that do that? Bringing in LGBT members and Muslims and shit? How many racists you know that do that? Whereas, like I stated, in the Trump's camp, most of the people are of one race. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It really is one of those cases of make it make sense. Song's Word 80 said, wow, a super chat. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Thank you. Thank you for that $1 super chat. Appreciate that. Wow. I am Russian and German. Okay. Good to have you here. Do you not remember Joe Biden calling black super predator? Yeah, I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle, all of that. Here's the difference, though. If you are a Biden detractor, you hold Biden accountable for his statements, but you look at Trump and all of his stuff is taken out of context. Trump has said a lot of racially suspicious statements as well, but they're viewed differently. They don't get the same scrutiny. I mean, he didn't mean that. He meant this. You don't look at Biden, vote for me or you ain't black, and go, well, I need to see the whole interview. Maybe he meant something else. Maybe it was taken. Nobody says that. They hold him accountable for what they heard. But when Trump says it, yeah, maybe he didn't mean that. It was a joke, or he was talking about that, or not. It's different. It's different. I'm just simply saying that we view these men. Now, the black community did not look at what Biden said and refer to it as being out of context, even though they're voting for Biden. They didn't make up excuses or reasons for why what Biden said wasn't that bad. They hold him accountable, and he apologized. Trump's side of the aisle is a little different. It didn't mean that. It meant this. It was a joke. Okay, I'm just simply saying, based on reality, the black community is not buying that. We may not even give a damn what they buying, but I'm just simply saying they're not buying it. Wow, Song's word says Trump is a crook. Biden is not. It's that simple. So it's safe to assume, Song's word, you will be voting for President Biden in around 7 months. And thank you for your support. Song's word 87. Appreciate that. Biden is giving a platform for the Ku Klux Klan secretly. The Democrats are the Ku Klux Klan. Once again, outlaw Josie Wells. Thank you. Once again, though, this is a case of don't believe your lying eyes. Since when is the Ku Klux Klan known for appointing LGBT members, Muslims, black people? Don't believe your lying eyes. If I was to tell you the Ku Klux Klan is having a gathering, you would not assume that Muslims and LGBT members are there. You would assume that it's an all-white gathering. That fits far more of the narrative in regards to a Trump gathering. Like I stated, it's a case of don't believe your lying eyes. You're gonna have a hard time convincing most African Americans that a multicultural crowd is the Klan, when the Klan has no history of being multicultural. I'm just trying to work with you. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I don't block, ban, or censor anybody's comment. But I'm telling you, the Klan has no history of being multicultural or inclusive. But when you look at Biden gatherings, all of that's there. That makes no sense at all. There is no mission statement. Nothing been released from the Klan that says we now accept LGBT members, blacks, Muslims. Nothing in their history to suggest that. So a Biden gathering doesn't fit anything about the method of operation for the Klan. That is flat out laughable, as Monica Green would say in the comments. It's flat out laughable to believe that you got Jay-Z on the stage, or Beyonce is there, and I mean, this is the Klan, really? I mean, but I give you an E for effort. Wow. The Klan does love Jews, though it's their biggest fault, says Real Greg. The Klan loves Jews. Where are you getting this from? The Klan waving around the swastika. Like I said, folks, don't believe your lying eyes is in play here. People can see with their own eyes. The stuff you're saying don't match what you're seeing. It's like literally looking up and somebody telling you, the sky is brown and it's a sunny day. People can see. The stuff you're saying doesn't match reality. It's hilarious. Did you listen to the whole speech? Depends on the speech you're talking about, Chase Smith. But I've never heard anybody, when we talk about vote for me and you ain't black, which comes up a lot, particularly from my beloved MAGA, I've never heard somebody ask me in regards to Biden, did you listen to the whole speech? Or I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle. Did you listen to the whole speech? No, they're holding them accountable for that snippet. That's bad enough. I don't need to hear the rest of it. But for some reason, when Trump says that stuff, you need to hear all 30, 40 minutes of the speech. I don't get the difference. That other than it's got to be biased in that point. I mean, otherwise you should be asking that in regards to Biden. Did you hear the whole speech? You shouldn't need to hear it. It shouldn't come out of his mouth. Looking in the comments, personally, I think this election should be Bernie Sanders versus Vivek Ramaswamy. The actual leftist versus the actual right. Biden versus Trump is definitely not the best candidates. Stefan, while I agree with you that Biden versus Trump are not the best candidates, I think that Vivek, and a lot of folks favor Vivek. A lot of folks favor Vivek Ramaswamy, but in my opinion, he wasn't a real candidate, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is he essentially was trying to be Trump. That's it. I don't think Vivek differed from Trump on a single thing. Ron DeSantis, who else would be? I'm assuming Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis I could see. Even though, I may lean left, Ron DeSantis I could see. But Vivek was just trying to run for a cabinet position. That's it. Anytime you got 9 contenders on stage running for the Republican nomination and the leader is not there and no one wants to discuss them, they're not running a serious campaign. Trump is way out in front. It's not even close. He is way out in front. And they're debating with each other like they're fighting for who's going to win. This guy's way out in front. Meanwhile, Trump is holding his own rallies, picking and choosing which one of them to insult. And they're running for the same position as Trump, completely omitting that he even exists. You're not running for president. You're running for a cabinet position. You're running to continue to maintain the adoration of MAGA. That's all they were running for. They were not running Vivek, Ron DeSantis, to Tim Scott. I love you, Trump. Why are you running against him? He's still in office. And better yet, he's still in the running. Even Nikki Haley to a lesser degree, because she started insulting him later on and criticizing him, but you're on stage, all of the 9 of them, with the exception of maybe Chris Christie and Sununu, you're all speaking highly favorable of Trump. Well, damn it, he's still running. Why don't you just vote for him? Why are you up here running, bragging about how great he is? The dude is still in the race and he's way out front. Why not just team up with him? They're running for cabinet positions. And my guess is Vivek will get one. Maybe Ron DeSantis, because there was a little beef there. Trump sees Ron DeSantis as disloyal. Nikki Haley ain't getting shit. Chris Christie ain't getting shit. Nothing in the works for Governor Sununu either. Maybe the governor of North Dakota, Brahmin or whatever, he might get a cabinet position, maybe. But yeah, what are you running for? If the guy is so great, Nikki Haley, he was a perfect president, then just vote for him. He's in the race. Just vote for him. Running for cabinet position. They weren't serious. Epstein and Trump were pals. Disgusting, says Songs Word 87. Yikes. Now, the fact is, Epstein and Trump were pals. Now, Trump claims that he broke it off when the dirt on Epstein came to light, but there is no denying Trump was pals with Epstein. And as Songs Word says, that was disgusting. Yikes. Trump got Epstein charged. You liar. How is he lying, Joe? Even if Trump got Epstein charged, let's say what you're saying is correct, that Trump got Epstein charged, they still were pals. The man said Trump got it. The man said that Trump and Epstein were pals. Disgusting. What part of his statement is not true? They were pals at some point. That is absolute fact. Now, if Trump later separated from Epstein and had him charged, okay, but that doesn't take away from his statement. It's fact. They were pals at one point. Acquaintance. Yeah, okay. You got in here that El Ray and what is this? El Ray E. Cahoon says they were acquaintance. Okay, all right, whatever. You know, if Biden was hanging around Epstein, you wouldn't be calling him an acquaintance. You would be saying them motherfuckers was pals. But because it's Trump, you're downgrading it to acquaintance. That's what I'm talking about, where you're judging something in a different light. That's humorous, actually. No, they weren't. Trump never was friends with Epstein, just met for business. Trump wasn't interested. Hot Pants, love the name. They're on video at a party together. They ain't meeting for business. They're on video with a bunch of young girls and shit. Business. That ain't a business meeting unless you're Hugh Hefner. He's on video with Epstein at parties. It's not a business gathering. And look, you really got to twist it to make that fit. How many business gatherings you see that take place that look like that? When the dude is like 60, 70 years old. That ain't business. All of these girls here are a quarter of your... No, that ain't business. But it's funny. You got to get me and the Rooster dude on a live panel together. You want fireworks. Gen X. Love Gen X. And I like Big Rooster. I might make that happen. I might see if I can make that happen. Both of you folks are contributors to the program, friend of the program. I don't normally bring up more than one guest because I like to be able to focus on the conversation. I like to be able to give my undivided attention to somebody who's discussing what may be a serious subject to them. But if you ask, I might be able to make that happen, Gen X. Me and Gen X go back a little bit. And Gen X is MAGA. Big Rooster's obviously the opposite. I might put you two on. Let you do my job for a few minutes for me. I would like to see that. National Federy, I cannot pronounce that. MAGA. How should Trump handle the Ukraine war? Delicately. How should Trump handle the Ukraine war? Here's the problem. Trump is friends with Putin. We know that. But the entire free world does not favor Putin. If Trump becomes president and lets the Ukraine fall to Russia, it really makes the United States look bad. MAGA will love it because MAGA believes that Ukraine, Zelensky, all of that is corrupt. Biolabs, neo-Nazis, you name it. But all of the free world, all of NATO, most of the Eastern European countries are all afraid of Putin and Russia continuing to dominate, kind of like Hitler in the 1930s, take over Poland, go to the next country. They all fear that's going to happen, which is why Finland and Sweden joined NATO. Trump is on the other side of literally all of the allies. If Trump becomes president and does what he's promising to do, which would essentially empower Russia, But he listen, he's already in office. If he becomes president, he's not worried about a second term. Remember Obama on a hot mic said something similar. Once I become president again, I don't have to worry and I might do something. And people in Fox News went ape shit that he sounded like he would be working with Russia. Now that Trump is doing it, they seem to not have a problem with it. But once again, if Trump becomes president, what Obama said applies to Trump. You don't have to worry about getting reelected. You can do whatever you want. I think Trump would give the Ukraine to Russia. He would pretty much tell Russia exactly what he stated before. Do whatever the hell you want with them. Do whatever the hell you want with them. Trump wants to get rid of NATO, says Monica Green. He has stated something of the sorts. Once again, the out of context folks will say that he wanted the NATO countries to cough up their proper defense budget. But he did flirt with the idea of getting rid of NATO. He did say that. Looking in the comments real quick here. I don't know what just happened there. Tim, I'm serious. I'd like to call and be on your show. But right now I'm not running TikTok. And I got to figure out how to do it on YouTube. But Josie, I would certainly enjoy having you up anytime. It would be an honor. Question. Why isn't the USA's job not NATO? NATO is meant to police the world. USA is meant to police the USA. Ukraine is NATO's problem. Israel, Palestine is NATO, not the USA. Well, first of all, the Ukraine is not a member of NATO. So the idea that the Ukraine is NATO's problem is not actually accurate. Now, Israel is a member of NATO, and so is America. So if Israel's dealing with an issue, America's supposed to be on their side. The only difference here is Israel's going above and beyond. What Israel's doing is probably akin to a war crime. They're not fighting for self-defense anymore. But what Israel's doing to the Palestinians, lesser degree Hamas, it's punitive. They're just punishing them because of what happened to them on October 7th, but they're not fighting for self-defense anymore. They're just kicking ass. For YouTube, bro, you're going to need to use OBS and host a Zoom call. I'm not sure that you can live stream a group chat on a cell or YouTube. You know, see, I didn't figure that out. I'll look into it. I mean, I got laptops. You know, I got hot spots where you can literally use your laptop. Because I'm working during the day. That's why you guys see me in the car. Right now, I'm off. But I figured I'd get in here and chat with you. When you guys see me at 1 p.m., I'm at work. Looking in the comments, how are y'all extra chromosomes doing today? Well, I'm not a member of the LGBT community. MAGA loves young girls on the island. Only young, only pretty. Donald, just bring your Miss America girls. Yikes. Yikes. Song's word, Trump is a crook. Biden isn't. It's that simple. I see that song's word. I saw that in the comments. Why do anti-Trumpers spam hearsay? Biden's list of provable offenses is insanely long, but I need to look no further than his Roomba level stage navigation. You think Biden walks around like a Roomba, like their vacuum cleaner? Oh my God. But in regards to your comment, why do anti-Trumpers spam hearsay? You really believe only anti-Trumpers do that? Hillary Clinton drinks baby blood. Obama was born in Kenya. Michelle Obama is a man. I mean, it's insane. You know, hell, even the 2020 election is loaded with hearsay and what do you refer to it as, misinformation or whatever. I mean, it's loaded with it. You don't just hear that from anti-Trumpers. Pro-Trumpers also send out a ton of hearsay and misinformation. I mean, just go ask Dominion voting machines. You think all the stuff they said about Dominion voting machines is true? And they got $750 million for nothing? So yeah, it happens on both sides. You are a really cool guy. Says a name that I can't read, but thank you for your participation. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the compliment. MAGA loves black men that work for free. Damn. You're suggesting that MAGA loves black slaves? Ouch. Astra says, okay, the most important political question of all, is pineapple and ham on pizza good? A pineapple can be delicious when it's held upside down, if you know what I mean. Continuing on, smash that like, folks. Thank you. Help our hosts with the YouTube algorithm, and be sure to sub. Yeah, certainly, Gen X, thank you. For you folks, got me talking late in the evening. I always enjoy talking to the folks, particularly those who have an adverse opinion. I like having, MAGA's my favorite guest. Yeah, certainly smash that like button, and a subscription would be awesome for you folks who do enjoy talking politics. Like I said, Monday through Fridays, 1 p.m. is what I'm hearing. We do have guests on all day, every day. It's just, this is one of the first times, because I'm having so much problems with the app, that I'm just rapping with you folks. But normally we have a guest on. So thank you if you can drop a subscription. Tim, you need a show on Sunday morning TV. Thank you, Matthew, but I'm real busy on Sunday mornings watching both. This week with George Stephanopoulos, and I generally tape Meet the Press. Sometimes I will also watch Fox Sunday, but I watch all of the Sunday shows on Sunday. I do watch those. If you are a Christian, you won't vote Trump. He cheats on his pregnant wife with an adult actress and spends campaign money to keep her quiet. He is not a Christian man. Damn. Look, I'm not Christian either, so I can't really criticize anybody's religion. But based on what I do know about religion, I mean, I do believe in a higher power, but I don't go by some of the man-made rules. I don't kind of outgrew them. I used to be more Christian than I am now. I think some of the man-made rules were created simply to exploit and hold power over other people. But based on what's in the Bible, it would be a decent argument to make that Trump does not come across as a Christian man. Was he known? Now, folks always talk about, before Trump became president, he was well respected in the black community. He hung around all of them. Was he known as somebody who was going to church? Before Trump became president, was he known as someone who went to religious services regularly? Because we often bring up what he was doing before he became president and why people are mistreating him. Was he known to go to church every Sunday? I don't recall that. I don't recall hearing a lot about Trump being a Christian. He sells Bibles. He's grifting hard to pretend. He's doing good at that shit too, by the way. MAGA loves dictators. Which is your favorite? You. Biden called blacks super predators. Yeah, we went over that. The Real McLovin. Good movie, by the way. We went over that earlier. Like I said, I think with only 7 months to the election, the jury is, that ship on between Biden and Trump, which one of these individuals is more intolerant, bigoted toward black people, I think that ship is sailed. I don't think that there's any way to convince the majority of blacks with only 7 months left that Trump is the one that loves blacks and Biden is the racist. I think that ship is sailed. In my opinion, Trump has said too many things that are racially suspicious, for lack of a better term, and just simply said, I'm not apologizing for shit. Biden, all of the things that come up, vote for me, you ain't black, the 94 crime bill, I don't want my kids growing up in the racial jungle. He apologized for all that stuff. Even if you don't believe his apology is genuine. He did acknowledge it, admitted it was bad, and apologized for it. Trump is like, fuck you. I said what I said. You took it the wrong way. Get over it. That's going to have a different meaning to black people. Trump ain't apologized for shit. Up to and including the Central Park 5 and the fact that he had to settle out of court for refusing to rent to people of color. If that ain't racist, I don't really know what is. And he's like, and I'm not apologizing. So I think that trying to suggest that Biden is the intolerant one and Trump, who is pro-Confederate flag, you know, when police were claiming that, you know, with the death of George Floyd, racism was real and the Black Lives Matter. Trump is like, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group. I think in terms of racial conversation, Trump is on the opposing side of black people in most of the conversations, and Biden is on their side. So Biden tried to pass the George Floyd bill. That was not going to come out under Trump. So yeah, I think that ship has sailed. Now, perhaps, maybe Biden is the more racist one, and Trump is the one that likes black people. Maybe that's true, but visually, it doesn't look that way. Just visually. I had a guest on earlier that suggested that Democrats, modern day Democrats, are the KKK. As if you could go to a Democratic gathering with all of that diversity there and think this is what the Klan looks like. If the Democrats of today are the Klan, then damn it, the Klan has progressed. Maybe the Klan ain't that bad no more. That's crazy. Like I said, it's what you can see. Meanwhile, you go to a Trump gathering. I went to a Trump rally, by the way, myself. I went to a Trump rally. It's been almost 5 months ago. And I think it was about 3,000 or 4,000 of us there. I had to wait like 5 hours to get in. I got good seats, though, because I was early in line. And I was only maybe about 6 or 7 rows back from the president. I did stand up a couple times and look all around the room. It was standing room only. Look all around the room and see what kind of diversity was there. About 10 black people. Now, I'm going to say 30 because maybe there were blacks there that I didn't see. Like I said, standing room only. But I guarantee you it was less than 50 blacks there. Now, I've not been to a Biden gathering at all. You don't hardly even have them. But I've been to Obama gatherings. The diversity is way, way more significant. So if the idea that Trump is tolerant and Biden is racist could be true, but it doesn't measure up to what you're actually seeing with your eyes. It just doesn't. And I'm assuming some of you folks have also went to a Trump gathering. Maybe some of you liberals in here went to a liberal gathering. What you see with your eyes doesn't match. I'm just being honest with you. It doesn't match. Looking in the comments, Democrats are doing racism wrong. How do you do racism wrong? I like to know that. First mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. That's a quote from Biden. Okay. Like I said, I'm not saying that Biden didn't make some quotes, but you're going to hold Biden accountable for vote for me, you ain't black, but Trump gets a pass on the Central Park 5? How does that work? Or he gets a pass on settling out of court for not renting to black people, but Biden gets credit for everything Biden says. You're going to hold him accountable, but somehow like I said, we got to judge both sides fairly. That's why I do a uncensored program. I like to let the people speak. But you're holding one side accountable and ignoring the other side. Trump has done some things that are worthy of discussing. How does he get a pass? No, he just has to say he's sorry. Say, well, that's part of the problem, is that Trump don't even say he's sorry for it. I mean, even if Biden says he's sorry and he don't mean that for a damn, he's completely lying. He could be offering bullshit apologies. An apology, I've said this before numerous times on the program. An apology, even if it's not legitimate, will beat fuck your feelings 100% of the time. Even if it's an illegitimate apology, it will always beat fuck your feelings. Trump has never apologized. Just want to point that out. Biden's 94 crime bill, Trump pardoned thousands of blacks. Yeah, but you're excluding Biden's effort to pass the George Floyd bill. Like I said, you're giving Biden credit for when he did something that was wrong, and you're excluding it from Trump when he did something wrong. You're not judging him properly. I'm holding Biden accountable, but I'm also bringing up Trump. You want to hold Biden accountable, but you don't want to hear about Trump. That's not fair judgment. That's not fair judgment. This is the same argument I have when folks say that, well, Trump can't get credit for the economy because he inherited from President Obama. My comeback is the same every time. If Trump screwed the economy up, you would blame him for screwing it up. But because he inherited it from Obama, he gets no credit, meaning that the only grade you would give him is a bad one. He can't get a good one because you're going to get that to Obama. That's not fair. That's biased judgment. Well, you're doing the same when it comes to Trump and racial arguments. You're giving him a pass for everything he's done. Out of context, it's a joke. He didn't mean that. But you're holding Biden to the fire. That's biased judgment. And in the comments, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he says, you're goofy. Look, folks, I run an uncensored program. I give you a chance to speak. I don't mind the criticism. State your point. I'll read it out. I'll address it, all of that. But, damn it, add something to the program. You're goofy. What, damn it, why am I goofy? I'll read it out. I won't censor it. It's uncensored. Free speech. But just, you're goofy, that don't mean shit. With all due respect, the damn comment is goofy. It adds nothing to context. Nothing at all. You got a whole chance to type. I would read your comment out, no matter how damn critical it is. Ain't shit there to go with. But you're goofy. Why waste time on your keyboard, sir? Come back with some bullshit that I can actually take and read. And if you're right, I'll concede the damn point. It's uncensored. Take some time out and think about the shit you're putting on the keyboard, man. Looking in the comments. You can see every law Biden has ever voted on. You can trace his racism over the years, but we are biased. No. Once again, I'm not stating that Biden doesn't have a racist past. Not disagreeing with that. But this is the bias part. Biden's crime bill racist. I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle racist. Trump settles a lawsuit showing he wasn't written to people of color. Is that not racist, or does that get a pass? That's what I'm talking about. Trump was not a politician, but he still has racism in his past. Do we exclude that because he wasn't in office when he did it? He still has racism in his past. Took out a whole ad in the New York Times or whatever, suggesting the Central Park 5 be hung. All of them were later exonerated. He didn't apologize to anybody. In fact, he doubled down. Does he get a pass because he wasn't president? That's what I'm talking about. I haven't downplayed anything you said about Biden so far. In fact, I conceded it, that a lot of Biden's past is racist. What is missing is the concession from the other side. That's what I'm talking about when I say it's biased. You're pretending like I only see racism when it's coming from Biden. That's biased. Yeah, that is biased. Remember when Hillary called Trumpers deplorable? They were big mad and Hillary had to apologize. Yeah, that's one of the, in this day and age, I think the liberals are kind of getting it wrong. Michelle Obama, her quote, when they go low, we go high. That actually is a losing strategy in modern times. People want you to go low. They actually want you to go low. Going high, while you may feel it's the morally correct thing to do, it doesn't work come elections. A lot of folks are voting for Trump because he gives insults and all of that type of stuff. Keep in mind, and I've said this before, when you look at the 9 Republican candidates on stage running for the nomination, the Viveks, Ron DeSantis, I know you don't like him, but Chris Christie, Sununu, governor of North Dakota, Tim Scott, all on stage. Most of them, probably with maybe the exception of Chris Christie, maybe, but even Chris Christie might be in what I'm about to say. Most of them would have given you at least 70, 75, maybe almost as high as 90% with Ron DeSantis, would have given you about 90% of what you want out of Trump. Ron DeSantis is not going to run the country much differently than President Trump. You get about 90% of Trump's policies out of Ron DeSantis without the baggage. He could be 2 terms. He's younger. He doesn't have any criminal indictments to deal with. Folks vote for Trump because they like the rhetoric. You can get most of that out of Ron DeSantis without all the drama. I would submit to you the likes of Nikki Haley, which you guys consider a rhino or even a liberal, I think she would have won. Now, you may only get 75% or so of Trump's policies out of Nikki Haley. She's a conservative, but she's not a far-right conservative. Trump is more far-right right now. So you might get about 75, 80% out of Nikki Haley. But you would probably be more likely to get a victory. So right now we're in an all or nothing scenario. Trump wins, you get all of it. If he loses, you get none of it. So that's where we currently at. But I do believe a lot of folks actually support Trump because Trump makes politics interesting. If you get Ron DeSantis in there, yeah, he's going to give you most of the policies. He's going to protect the border. He's going to run the economy very similar to Trump, but he's not going to go after Nancy Pelosi or yell crooked. He's not going to do all of that stuff. And they want that. It makes you feel good to go to a rally and cheer on the insults. You're not going to get that out of none of those, any of those other people. So that is one of the reasons I believe that folks going with Trump vote for him. Not because he's so great, you can't get this stuff out of anybody else that is on the conservative side of the aisle. But no, I get the added insults and rhetoric. I like that stuff. A lot of folks like that stuff. You know, right? The bird brain of Nikki Haley. None of the other people are going to do nothing like that. So folks want that. So that's why folks went for Trump. Trump should run as independent now. Why? You got the Republican nomination, and God knows Trump needs the money. I always say Trump is very similar to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was not a Democrat, but he needed access to the DNC funds, so he ran as a Democrat. Bernie Sanders, as you point, Trump, they both should have ran as independent candidates. Trump is not a Republican. He's not. But he needed access to the RNC funds. So he ran as a Republican. The reason the Democrats got rid of Bernie Sanders is because they feared he would do exactly what Trump has done. He is an outsider. He's not a true Democrat. If we put him at the top of the ticket and he wins, he's going to destroy the Democratic Party. You're going to have the likes of AOC and Elizabeth Warren fighting against traditional Nancy Pelosi types because these are progressives. They're not Democrats. The Democrats were able to stop Bernie Sanders from taking over. The Republicans were not able to stop Trump from doing it. And Trump got in there and done exactly what Bernie Sanders would have did. And all of a sudden, all the Republicans are fighting against each other. What do you got? Marjorie Taylor Greene, for the second time in only a few months, they're trying to take down their own damn speaker again. That's what Bernie Sanders would have been doing. No Democrat would have been progressive enough. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, no Republican is either MAGA or far enough to the right. So they're cannibalizing on the damn party, calling each other swamp creatures and rhinos and shit. That's what would have happened if you had propelled Bernie Sanders to the top of the Democratic Party. The Democrats stopped it from happening. The Republicans didn't. So the Republicans are left with Trump must win or we're going to be looking like Hiroshima in 1947, just rubble. Just rubble. The whole party, if Trump does not win this fall, millions of dollars, millions, tens of millions of dollars have went to his legal fees. That could have went to Republican Senate candidates, Republican congressional candidates, all funneled into one guy. All of the down ballot races, those people need money too. They got races to run. The RNC funds would normally go to those people. Trump is siphoning off all the damn money. And now that he has a relative as part of the RNC's leadership, you can be damn sure it's happening now with a fairly solid consequence. So if Trump loses, you're going to have a bunch of Republican candidates coming up saying, I could have actually won if there was some damn money left over. It's going to be a mess. He has to win. Otherwise, what's left of the Republican Party is going to be bad. And of course, without Trump, there is no MAGA. We've seen what Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy, how little success they had trying to be the leadership of MAGA. Without Trump, MAGA doesn't exist. Not to mention, if Trump loses, he's not going to necessarily allow anybody else to become the head of MAGA. He's still going to be in the background calling the shots. You talk about a true puppet. How can you be MAGA if Trump is calling the shots? You truly are a puppet. So I don't know how that works, but Trump has to win. That is the only way this works. He has to be victorious in November. If he's not, the Republican Party is in shambles for probably quite a while. So we'll see how it turns out. 7 months. 7 months. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We'll certainly be doing lots of live streams. Oh, shit. Lots of live streams. There'll be a lot to talk about. As always, as Mr. Rogers would say, if we'll have things we'll want to talk about, I will too. Nevertheless, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I've rambled on enough. Do appreciate you guys tuning in. Monday through Friday, by the way, 1 p.m. is when we're normally here. Should I gamble money on the election? I already bet $1,000. That's illegal. It's illegal for an American to gamble on the election. So understand. Don't post that on social media. It's illegal. But should you gamble on the election? Depends on who you're voting. Depends on who you're betting on. There may be some reason to gamble on the election. So we'll see. Do you think America under Joe Biden is risking the security if the Middle East could there be a nuclear? Wait a minute. If the Middle East could there be a nuclear war in the upcoming years with Iran or Israel? What are your thoughts? I don't think there's a nuclear war on the horizon. I don't see that. I do believe Biden is putting America at risk with so many undocumented people coming in this country. At the same time, we're making a bunch of enemies. We're making a bunch of enemies continuing to support Israel. We are the only country on earth that supports Israel and what they're doing right now. Even Biden is telling them to stop, but he doesn't have any meat behind his statements. Okay, stop, they don't stop. What are you going to do to them, Biden? Nothing. So they're not stopping. And the rest of the world views America as being a co-conspirator with Israel. So we are creating a bunch of enemies while simultaneously letting in a bunch of undocumented residents. So regardless of how you feel about Biden or Trump, what's happening right now is putting America at risk. Biden, even though, yeah, there was a border bill under Congress that Trump shot down, Biden can bring that up, but Biden is doing a terrible job at the border. He needs to do something unilaterally. If Trump's not going to help, he needs to step up and do something, because we don't know who's coming in, and we're making a lot of enemies right now. So I do believe that is a problem. I'm not going to go so far as to talk about nuclear war and things like that, but Biden needs to step up his game. Nevertheless, here's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all take care.